Chaos.
Insignificant attacks. Stealing power. And handle this nightmare. No noose this time. Self! But I need not do it.
Today, I am so excited to share the first full gameplay trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds.
What? What? A f***ing sandboat, let's go! Ooh! Look at the scale! What is that?
I've selected you as a lead hunter for this expedition.
Oh my god! Bro, what is that? Capcom's been cooking, baby! Shields up, Ironbreakers. Welcome back to another episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. I'm here with Gaijin Hunter. How are you doing, Gaijin?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
So, you just woke up.
We're eating, my friend.
Yeah, we're eating good, but you just woke up. I haven't gone to bed yet. It's been a very long day.
God.
We misscheduled this podcast. It's everything's been going perfect today, guys. This is episode 85 of Third Fleet Podcast, and this is right off the heels of the very first gameplay trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, which was revealed yesterday at the Sony PlayStation not Sony, it's just PlayStation State of Play. So number one, did you expect it to be revealed at a PlayStation event?
No. No. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but no. Yeah, no. Not with Summer Game Fest just around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
I was not expecting that.
It's to me.
I mean, I think we were talking about before. My guess, and I think your guess as well, was that they would either be at the Summer Game Fest or they would say show off something and say, "Hey, we're going to have a direct in like a few days" or something like that, and tease it up. But it's a slightly different direction. They surprise us with Sony stuff and then say, "Hey, we're going to have a presentation with the actual director on stage to go over and show a brand new video next week at the Summer Game Fest." I'm kind of like, whoa, was this Sony like on their hands and knees begging and asking them to add something? I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I also expected, I didn't even expect a full-on trailer at the Summer Game Fest. I would have expected another teaser at Summer Game Fest and then Capcom going like, hey, by the way, we're doing our own developer diary. But I guess they want to get on the big stage, and they figured, we're going to put it on PlayStation because it's the more popular console, and Xbox is kind of like, Xbox is not looking too hot right now with them closing down 4 studios, and the overall sentiment around Xbox is pretty negative ever since they made that decision, I feel like. And so PlayStation's kind of like taking the lead in terms of consoles, so it's going to be the more popular event, they figured, and that's what they did. I almost wanted them to, if they were going to go with the PlayStation event, I was thinking to myself, man, if they do PlayStation, they should do PlayStation, Xbox, and the PC gaming show and Summer, just go everywhere, right? Just have somebody from Capcom everywhere in all the shows promoting the game. I thought that would be interesting. That's
actually, you know what? I
think
this might be 4D chess, because if you look at their sales, PC trumps everything, right? They're selling just a crap ton on PC, and it's their main SKU. It's not PlayStation, even if it is doing better than Xbox. It's not its main platform.
Yeah,
I'm almost thinking that they announced it to get people talking about Monster Hunter again, because isn't the Steam sale going on right now, the summer sale?
I'm pretty sure there is some type of.
I'm looking at it now. You can get the Iceborne Master Edition for US dollar $19.78 to $20 for everything. So I think maybe they're trying to get attention
for $20. Oh yeah,
the entire package. Yeah, you can get World for just under $10.
Yeah, I can see it on my end as well in euros. Yeah,
well, that would make a lot of sense, right? If they're trying to get people thinking about Monster Hunter again and then getting ready for the Summer Game Fest, it's PC sale time. Like, it feels right.
It's the same thing for Sunbreak. It's also the same price. It's sub €20 right now to get So for $40, you can get Sunbreak and Iceborne. That's insane. And I'm not just talking about the DLC. I'm talking including the base games, which is that's completely wild. Yeah,
fabulous.
But yeah, that might have been it. They were getting the ball rolling to get a couple of sales in Monster Hunter World and all of that stuff, and to get people like talking about it again. But it definitely feels like the marketing push is now finally in full swing, because they came out the gate swinging. They're like, here's a big meaty trailer, because like this is not just a basic trailer. They showed gameplay, they showed mechanics, they showed story, they showed a ton of stuff. And then they said, and by the way, expect more of this next week. Like literally a week from now, we're doing the same thing. And it's like, it's insane. You guys are just going crazy.
Yeah, I mean we'll talk more about the trailer, and I mean it's great. There's certain parts of it that I feel it feels like it was kind of preview-ish. Like they usually have a higher presence of like proof of a hero, or the ending was badass, but I think like it just felt a little less clean than they usually do it. So it kind of felt a little rushed together, but the content was great. And as always, I don't know why they do this, but they had like a plethora of really good information that they shared afterwards on their official website and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good stuff. Very exciting.
So I think one of the first things that I want to bring up, and this is interesting because I seem to remember both you and Yuna having this particular vibe, which was, and this is something that I heard from a lot of people in the community. People were like, oh, the previous trailer, the teaser, whatever we want to call it, to the very first piece of media that we saw at the Game Awards, people were saying that visually it didn't look that impressive, and it didn't look like it stood up even to World. Like a lot of people thought it looked worse than World. And I was like,
I'm not in that crowd though. Me and Yuna had a different opinion that it didn't feel like it was taking the same art direction as Iceborne.
Yeah, and it felt
a little bit more on it. Yeah, it felt a little bit more on the Rise side of things, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
not that the graphics aren't good. Like I think the graphics are fantastic.
I wouldn't say that, but what I noticed in this trailer is that I feel like this one really showcased the visuals, and I was very impressed. I thought that it looked absolutely
models look great.
Yeah, phenomenal. I was really surprised by just how much visual fidelity they were squeezing out of it. And I don't know if this was running on PlayStation or what the deal with it was, but it was like 30 FPS. I don't know if consoles are going to be able to pop this bad boy at 60. They're going to struggle.
I got to ask a question, because I was already in a negative mind space before the trailer came on, because I don't know what it was, but you know how like TVs have that, like they call it the soap opera effect, where it adds
60
in
FPS.
artificial frames, and it makes it look like everything's sped up like by 20% or something. It's really off-putting. The entire Sony State of Play felt like that to me. Everything, at least on devices that I was using, felt sped up, and everything felt artificial and weird, and I was already like, And even the trailer, like I was looking at the 4K trailer that Capcom released, it just feels different to me. It feels good, actually.
That might be
the official trailer.
That might be some strange Apple thing. I haven't really noticed that on my end. Like,
yeah, I was looking at it on my computer, my Windows computer, my iPhone, my TV. They all felt really weird and sped up when I was seeing it. I don't know what it is.
On most of the stuff on PlayStation, it actually felt like 30 FPS, I think. There was one game that felt a little bit faster, but the Monster Hunter trailer definitely felt like 30 FPS more so than 60 FPS from what I could tell.
Yeah, but the 4K one I think feels smoother. It's probably PC captured, where this one was probably legitimate, because they did say captured on a PS5, so I think they actually did legit capture it on the PS5 version for that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely feel like the visuals
I don't expect 60. No way, not at those visuals.
Yeah, I feel like the visuals were a significant step up. I think the game looks really good. I've seen some people question whether or not they like the art style. I don't know where you stand with that. I was like, I like what I'm seeing on screen is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I think, and I like it as well. I think it's great. I think the unfortunate thing that they did was they chose this starting. I mean, they probably had no choice, but like this what's it called, the Windward Plains is their like intro area that they're showing off. And the problem is that because it's got the dynamic biome thing going on, it's
All of
either
them-
like super vibrant or it's like really washed out and covered in sand. And so I think people are looking at some of the gameplay, because for the most part they focused on when the weather's bad, right? Probably just to cut down on the amount of monsters. And they're like, it looks washed out. And I'm like, this game looks really high contrast and colorful. I was like, oh, they're talking about when during the sandstorms. Yeah, it does. It's supposed to, right? It's by design. So
That's by design, yeah, 100%. And it's like, it's not just the Windward Plains that's going to have that. I think that all of the locales are going to have that. And I feel like that's one of the first things that we can talk about, because initially there was the big discussion, oh, is this going to be the open world Monster Hunter? This is going to... I feel like with the language that we've been seeing on the websites, I don't think that is going to be the case. I think... because they specifically use, this is they even say here, the Windward Plains is the first new hunting locale you'll visit. The second I saw that communication, I was like, okay, it's not open world. I no longer think that it's going to be open world. I do think the maps are going to be pretty big, but it is not going to be an open world game.
it kind of, I mean, the language you're using makes it sound like they're taking what normally would have been 2 maps and they're mixing it into one bigger one, right? With the biodiversity of everything. So like, where maybe you had a more sandy plain and then the lush fields. I mean, they did the same thing in World, though, right? Like you had different areas, but it feels like maybe it'll be a little bit more significant this time, but who knows? But I mean, I think that would be a smarter move. Like instead of having 6 locales, have 3 more richer ones with more interactions and have them have sort of like 2 or 3 modes of state of being that they can be in.
No, I want 6 locales with 3 states of being. I'm greedy. I want it all.
Of course, I want 20.
I want it all. I want all the maps. I want all the monsters. I want everything. But
you know what they said? They said every map. Let's just think Alatreon, but map.
Alatreon, but map. That's a good one. Let's just think Alatreon, but map.
But map.
Sure, that works. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
But yeah, I mean, given like we'll jump into the trailer, but they had a nice Twitter message that you covered on your channel, which they were able to reconfirm. Yes, Togato-san is the director. He was the one who directed Monster Hunter World, and we've talked in length about that man, and he's got my trust. He's never steered us wrong. So whatever apprehension I might feel about whatever is really just me blabbing off because I don't know. I fully trust him. I think the franchise is really good in his hands. But they were talking a little bit more about like what their focus was and what they were trying to showcase off in the trailer. And I guess the whole idea of like he's really big into like the believability aspect. So I mean that sounds
immersion
funny in a fantasy context.
Immersion, I think, is
like,
the best word for it, because that's the vibe that I felt during the whole trailer. Is like this feels super immersive. They went above and beyond. Whereas like when you're playing Rise and Sunbreak, you are very aware this is a video game. I'm playing a video game. I'm jumping in. I'm killing this monster, and then I'm jumping out, and I'm back in town, just having a good time. But you are always aware it's a video game. This is kind of like I'm in this world, right? Everything around you feels believable. Like you said, the believability, the immersion, everything feels super immersive. Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't use the word in Japanese for immersive though, but what he focuses on, it's part of the same concept of immersion, but he focuses a lot on the, how would I put it? Not the AI, but like, does it look and move and feel organic? Maybe the right word. And so that's what they were aiming for with World, was more organic environments.
World or Wilds?
So, maps for World originally was more about the environments and making sure that it was a living, breathing world. And now they're applying that to monsters, right? So now they have good AI. They've been doing a lot of testing on a lot of their games, obviously, with the AI over the last few years. But the whole idea that, monsters will interact with each other, like on their own without your intervention, that they'll herd together. They have actual programmed like characteristics, and so they will act like a herd of animals. And then adding in the changes to the environment, to have the environment also be on a loop where it's just, they say that it's like natural, like AI generated, like there's states that it'll go in and out of, like storms will happen, or maybe they won't happen, or maybe it'll turn night or day or whatever, and the monster's behavior will change depending on the environment. And so the idea is they're trying to make like a simulation of like an actual hunting biome with monsters. So it makes me hope that we have like an observation mode like we had with like Prowler. You can go in the ground and just watch the monsters, as I think that's a super fun aspect of these series.
Using
watch,
like binoculars and stuff to do.
Yeah. Watch them like eating fish and having beef with each other and stuff like that. It could be really fun, right?
A David Attenborough style presentation, just like, and here we can see the young Dosha. What was the name of the bestial one? You typed it down.
Doshaguma.
Now you can see the young Doshaguma grazing about the plain. Bloody lovely. Actually, I don't know why I gave him an Australian accent, but it's just, I suck at accents.
you get. I think it's the Steve Irwin in you coming out.
Yeah,
right?
the Steve. Look at it. What a beautiful chonker
look
that
at
one
his jaws.
is.
It's just magnificent. Oh my God.
He's a beautiful chonker that one is.
So I'm super interested in what their idea is. Right. The only thing that makes me nervous is like I hope they improved the CPU intensiveness of crowd AI, because the crowd AI in Dragon's Dogma 2 was good, but holy crap, was it CPU intensive.
Friggin' Vernworth or whatever was the name of the town. I remember, is it Vernworth or Vermin? Or is Vermin the kingdom and Vernworth is a town? I think that's what it was.
See, I screwed you up because I always messed it up, and I think I got it
Yeah,
all
exactly.
mixed up in your
You were
head.
constantly saying it wrong to me when we were talking to each other. So you destroyed my brain. Now it's confused, doesn't know what it's supposed to be. But yeah, that would definitely.
But I guess maybe because they're less individual and they're more like herds, maybe it's easier to deal with. I don't know.
I'm hoping it's easier to deal with, like, or maybe they figured out the technology by the time the game launches, because they still have a decent chunk of time to figure stuff out. So I'm just hoping that all of that stuff is on lockdown, because if they come out with another title on the engine and have the same problems as Dragon's Dogma 2, people are not going to be happy about it. But I believe they can make it work. Yeah. And
how do you want to do this? There's so much stuff to jump into, and we don't have a script. I'm thinking, do we want to just jump through the trailer and talk about what we're seeing? Like, we can top to end, and then we can dig in deeper, or
we can go that way. And the reason, by the way, guys, the reason we don't really have like a hardcore, because usually I have like a set of notes that I'll set up, but we were supposed to do this tomorrow, but then we got our time zones mixed up, and then suddenly I was streaming and Gaijin's like, oh, we were supposed to record, and I was like, damn it. so we don't have notes, but I mean, I do have notes, but they're not properly ordered. So going through the trailer, first thing we see, and that got me so excited, literally the first shot we see, I was ready, I was popping off, I was like, it's a freaking sand boat, this is a sand ship.
hey,
Instant.
There's a reason why Jen Moran and Darren Moran were trending for a little bit on Japanese Twitter. For good reason.
Yeah. So
exciting.
The moment I saw that, that's literally the first thing that I was like, oh, give me Jan Moran, give me Darren Moran, give me one of those, or give me a new one that is like a similar type of fight. Actually, I think a new one that's a similar type of fight would be ideal, because I always like seeing new monsters. That's obviously cooler, but if it's not a new monster, then give us at least they have to do it. If they don't do it, I'm actually going to be upset, because I wanted them to do it in Rise and Sunbreak, and they didn't. And they even gave us a ship, but it was not a sand ship, but it was a really big ship. It was a really cool ship. I was expecting us to fight something at sea, but we never did. But, you know, they didn't give us those monsters on Rise and Sunbreak, and I was like, give them to me now! I need them now. So that was like the first thing that I was super excited for with the sand ship.
You weren't like, oh my god, it's like the Monster Hunter movie, woo! No?
I didn't see the Monster Hunter movie, remember? I saw the better version of it, the one that was made by NCH Productions. That was the better version of the Monster Hunter movie.
Yeah, I saw the boat, and it's the first thing I got as well, was like, oh my god, it's like Monster Hunter for ultimate vibes, and that's going to be a common theme that we're going to be repeating a lot here, because they just might be making my dream game. which is what's better than a Monster Hunter 4 remake than a Monster Hunter 4 sequel. You know what I mean? That could be it.
That's actually one of the things that we see a lot, and I figure we can kind of like start looking at some of those parallels before we move forward, because
we have to, right? Because we're going to constantly mention it.
We see so many call-outs to 4 Ultimate, right? We have the boat. We have, I think the biggest one is the post that you made that I actually bookmarked, where you said Gemma is the best girl. And for those who don't know, Gemma is the blonde lady. She's supposed to be the blacksmith. Gemma is the best girl because she is literally Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. So she's got the Caravanier's jacket, which, by the way, I love the Caravanier's jacket. It's freaking awesome. It also means we're getting the Caravanier hat, which is one of my favorite pieces, at least I hope we are, one of my favorite pieces of gear in the whole game. So that's super awesome. Then she's got this, tell me about the plushie, because I don't remember 4 Ultimate as well as a lot of people.
Yeah, because the Guildmarm in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and her name is Sophia. Is it Sophia or Sophie?
I don't know.
Sophia, probably. Yeah, I think it's Sophia.
To me, she's just Guildmarm.
She's got a thing where I guess, yeah. She's got a thing where she likes to sew, like, cute little monster dolls. And so you can see them in, like, trailers. You can see them in the cutscenes. And there was, official concept art of her. Not concept, but, like rough designs and 2D art of her. Concept art sketches where, she's had all these really cute dolls. And one of them is very iconic, is this young cuckoo one. And it's the exact same design. It is the exact same doll that she made. So to me, either they're doing this as a massive call out, which would be badass, or this is what I think it is, and this is like a sequel to Monster Hunter 4, because she's wearing like one item from all the major characters, right? She's got the hair of Little Miss Forge with the 5 or 6 ponytails all in it. She's got the jacket of the Caravaneer. And we're not talking like similar in spirit. It is the jacket. Like,
it is the
no
jacket,
mistaking it. It's even got the same damn logo on the back, which are generally usually specific only to that entry in the franchise. She's got the doll that Sophia made on her belt. Yeah, she's...
And did you notice that the handler has the same style of glasses as Guildmarm?
Yes. And I saw... I don't think that she is, because the Guildmarm has a name officially, and that's not her name. But
No. I'm not saying that she's Guildmarm. I'm saying that's another call out. The glasses is kind of like a call out to Guildmarm, because I don't think she's Guildmarm. Guildmarm looks very, very different from her.
Yeah, but screams Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. So yeah, well, I'll probably be practicing, and you as well, a lot.
Do you
as we
think
go
that
through this.
Do you think that she could be a Little Miss Forge? Because that's another big theory. Instead of it being
I'd
just
put
a
money
call
on
out,
it at this point.
actually
Honestly,
being Miss Forge?
I think it is her. I know that there was some confusion because, like, people thought that Minel or whatever was Little Miss Forge, where I thought that one was pretty obvious that it was a call out. She even says in the game, like, I mean, I guess the thing is because the game was out, we were able to confirm it, right? But she's, she's got different color hair and everything. She's got the same type of outfit, but that's just because she's, mimicking, a legendary blacksmith, a.k.a. Little Miss Forge went on to be a badass in that timeline. But I just think the other parts of the story as well, like all the call-outs are so on the nose, I think, for Monster Hunter 4. And the fact is that we had at the end of Iceborne, Aiden, right? The ace cadet.
Yes.
They very specifically added a cutscene at the end of the Fatalis hunt that talked about him and Julius, the ace commander, and how Julius back was worried about him, heard he was hurt, heard how he stood up and helped protect a friend. And, they were making some call outs to Monster Hunter 4, but it's like, why would they call out Julius? And why would they name everybody and make it super clear at the very end, the very last content that they made for that game, story-wise, if they're not going to do something with it, right? And then Legends of the Guild comes out, and we get to see Aiden in the past. We get to see Julius, the ace commander, in the past. We get to see Nadia, the ace gunner, in the past. Like, they're all there. And it's like, okay, these are probably the most interesting characters that they've made to date, which is why we love Monster Hunter 4 so much. It makes total sense to me that they would use them as a pivot point for the next, expansion, right? Like going into unknown territory, which is exactly what a caravan does, right? They travel. It sounds like they're looking for somebody, so they're going here with a purpose. And we've got characters that are eerily dead on. I mean, even her eye color is the same as Little Miss Forge. Her hair design is the same. Like she's much older, but so was Aiden, right? Like he had aged as well.
Aiden, if you compare him as to where he was in Monster Hunter World and where he was in Legends of the Guild, he's much older. Or even for Ultimate, yeah.
And then later on we'll talk about it, but you've got the other NPC from the guild who is overseeing this expedition.
We need to talk about it right now because we're talking about for you. Let's just go straight for it. You were saying that it's the Ace Lancer.
Yeah, because you have the hunter being put into a room with this mysterious boy, Nata. And,
yeah.
You know, there's somebody who's overseeing this expedition. They're very specifically calling it an expedition.
In both Portuguese and Spanish, Nata means cream. I don't know why that's relevant. It's midnight. Wait. I have no excuses. I've been reading too much Twitter. But I gave you also another one, which was the name of the handler was Alma, and Alma means soul in Portuguese. So that's why there's a lot of Portuguese words in this trailer, but yeah.
Which would make sense because I don't know if people realize this, but the history of sea travel and just international mingling between Portugal and Japan.
Exactly.
There's a really rich history there. And
we used to be the kings of the seas.
Yes. And like all the math books and all the other stuff that Japan got was basically all imported through their interactions with Portuguese ships and stuff. So it's kind of natural for Japanese developers to lean on the Portuguese aspect when it comes to going out to sea and going on adventures and stuff like that. There's
just like Rondine,
a brotherhood, sisterhood there.
Rondine had the magical, not magical. She had this instrument thing that looked like a Portuguese guitar as well. I remember that. I was always like, "Oh, Rondine, nice. She went to Portugal. Yeah, makes sense."
Yeah, so there's that scene with the guy who's overseeing it, and he is like a dead-on, like model for model match, basically, with an older version of what the Ace Lancer, because the Ace Lancer was in his 40s in Monster Hunter 4. So if we're going ahead, let's say 10 years, right? Which I would assume it feels about right, like going ahead one generation. Mm-hmm. Little Miss Forge would be, in her 20s, young, spunky adult where she is. Aiden would be, in his late 20s, which is what he felt like he was in Iceborne. He would be in his 50s, feels about right. He's got the little twist of the hair, the really big shoulders. And it would make sense why would they have all these characters, all love letters to Monster Hunter 4 and the Ace Hunters? It just doesn't add up. Like, if this is just fan service, then it's God mode. Like, I'm happy with that. But I do think that it's the characters because of this stuff, right? And then, the natural question then goes, okay, well, if these are them, then where's Julius? I was like, well, Julius is kind of doing, I don't know, maybe they're looking for Julius. Maybe Julius and Nadia went missing, and
that was
maybe Nata is the son of Nadia, right? I mean, it's totally plausible.
That was actually one of the things that I was contemplating as I was doing research today. I actually went back and watched a little bit of Legends of the Guild to see what was kind of the relationship between Julius and Nadia, because I was like, maybe they've got
some steamy stuff. They're even wearing the same beads in their hairs and stuff. Like they say that they look at each other very closely, like siblings almost. But like, I think there's a romance there. Maybe. I don't know.
The introduction of when Nadia shows up. It's when they're fighting against the what's it called, the spider thing. Crap, my mind. Nursilla, yes, the better spider. When they're fighting Nursilla with the insect glaive user May. And, they're fighting the Nursilla, and then after they win, Nadia shows up. And if you pay attention, if you watch it just one time, first time around, you're not going to pay too much attention. But if you take into consideration that potentially in this game, Nata could be the son of Julius and Nadia, you can almost sense a little bit of tension in that first interaction where Aiden goes, "You two know each other?" And they instantly start, like, moving on the subject. Like instantly, Nadia's like, "Oh, I need to go here and do this thing," and it's like there's something she's got to do instantly.
Yeah.
They barely even speak, so there might be something there, like maybe a little bit of romance.
Yeah, even if it's not a relationship, they're very close, right? It's very much like the Jedi Master and his Padawan, right? They're always a pair going out and doing stuff, so it would make sense. But yeah, I think it's the imagery, like we were saying, like the intro scene is a direct call out, I think, to the very start of Monster Hunter 4. You're on a boat on the open sand dunes going out into an unknown area. You've got someone with the Caravanier's, vest on a boat looking outwards. It's just, I love it. I don't know what it is, but I love it.
I'm super excited because, like I said, 4 Ultimate has the best Monster Hunter story that I've ever experienced, because the whole just sense of adventure of traveling through multiple villages, I feel, is really magical. And that's what I would like to see here, but I don't think we're going to be traveling through multiple villages.
I don't know. Did you hear what Gemma said, though? I think we can set up and make a base camp here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like so excited when I heard that. I'm like, wait a second. There's not a hub time, because this is an unexplored area, and that's the whole point, is that no one's supposed to be here, which means, oh my God, are you a caravan? Does this thing become like a makeshift, like the ship becomes like a makeshift like town that like grows wheels and can be rolling around on land and stuff like that? Possible.
I think that would be really cool, but it also makes me question, will we have like a gathering hub set up somewhere that we would have to go if you want to do like some multiplayer stuff, or do people just like randomly show up in each other's caravans depending on the progression level that you're at with the game? That could be a thing too. But either or, that is something that is very exciting. Just not being in the same village the whole time. Like, I love Monster Hunter villages. And one of the things that I loved about For You was the fact that you visit a ton of them. You visit tons of Monster Hunter villages.
Yes.
And you're
it's the variety, right?
Yeah, you're upgrading your ship and you're moving on, and now it flies and it's an air. It starts as just like a boat, and then it's a sand boat or whatever, and then it goes into flight mode, and it's awesome the fact that it does all those things. So I would love to see more of that. Maybe that ship eventually gets upgraded and also becomes an airship, and then we can go someplace else.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to
like
travel to multiple locations.
Yeah. I did a video on like the map of Monster Hunter, and it's all speculation, by the way. I mean, nothing's
of course
in stone, but like the upper left of the Monster Hunter World map has always been covered in clouds and thunder and storms, and that's the area directly above the New World. So my assumption is that they would be heading north from where Iceborne is, so to a more warmer climate. But the whole part of that map is obscured in clouds. And it's really funny because this map was created like 20 years ago, right, for the franchise. And they've adhered to it throughout the entire time, which is really amazing. And so, with the whole thunderstorms and it's dangerous and no one's been there before, it makes total sense. That's probably where we're going. And then
I'm not sure if nobody's been there before. I think we haven't been there before.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They're calling it the Forbidden Lands.
Yeah.
And it's places that people have not ventured into before, is the way that I'm getting the vibe from of what they're saying. Like it's just unknown, it's too dangerous, and no one goes in there. So it's the wild, right? I mean, har. It would also make sense that maybe like those poles for catching the lightning, maybe those are remnants of an ancient civilization that,
which is what I said
what we've seen before
at the very beginning. If you remember, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, and then what's interesting is I don't know why they're purposely doing it, because it has to be on purpose. But in English, in Monster Hunter 4, the area coming off from where Cathar was, where you fight Shagaru Magara, was called the Sanctuary. In Japanese, it's called the Forbidden Land. And it's the exact same word that they're using to describe this area. It's the exact same word in Japanese for the Forbidden Lands. It's not the same area. That much is obvious, right?
Yeah, because it looks very different.
Yeah. But they're using the same word, which is not something they often do. And so there's an additional call out there to Monster Hunter 4 that you're not getting in English, but we're getting in Japanese, which I find endlessly interesting.
I mean, that's not the only thing that they've, some stuff was revealed in Japanese, some stuff was not revealed. We'll talk more
Yeah.
about that for sure, but like, it's definitely interesting that they're using the same words that they've used before for 4 Ultimate. And with all the call-outs that we already have to 4 Ultimate, with what appears to be a character that is very similar to Little Miss Forge and has the Caravaneer jacket and all of that stuff, there's a ton of stuff happening there that is not super clear.
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to get your take.
Okay.
Concerning, we have 2 different things that it could be, right? It can be the ultimate love letter shout out, an homage being paid to Monster Hunter 4. Or it could be the characters from Monster Hunter 4 in a new adventure. Which one would you prefer and why?
I'm a sucker for nostalgia, so I would love to see the characters from Monster Hunter 4. I think that would be friggin' sweet.
Yeah.
I would love for Gemma. I say Gemma. It's pronounced Gemma, right? Because you said this in your video. I watched your video this morning.
You know, this is really interesting. I actually want to talk about this because there's tons of comments on my video about this. Apparently, Gemma is a common name in the world. I don't know this. I'm an American, which already cuts my experience to global stuff by 90%. My apologies. But I also been living in Japan for over half my life. So when I see names, my initial brain goes to the Japanese pronunciation like an idiot. So when I see, I mean, obviously I know GEM is gem, right? But
Yeah.
I read it as, or gem, because that's how you would pronounce it if you were phonetically just looking at it with a Japanese eye, would be Gemma. But yeah, apparently Gemma is a very common name in Europe and around the world. So no surprise that it's pronounced, the Japanese is Gemma, is how they pronounce it phonetically. So apparently that's nothing special, but it's interesting. I did not know that was a normal name.
Yeah, I did not know how to pronounce it at all, so I was like, I don't know, Gemma, whatever it is. But basically,
Gemma's a nice name. I like the sound of Gemma.
I would like it if she was Little Miss Forge. I think that would actually be friggin' sweet for people that did play 4 Ultimate to have such an iconic character make a return. I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be friggin' sweet.
I guess for those on the podcast who don't know who Little Miss Forge is, because it's such a weird name to be calling a character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter up until Rise, no one was really given names. They didn't name characters. They named them by their position. So like you'd
Ace
have like
Commander,
the chef,
Ace Cadet,
the Ace Commander, the Guild Marm, and then there was always usually like, you know, hidden backstories, either inside of books, novels, maybe some text in the game, which hinted to their real names sometimes. Like, for example, like I was saying with Sophia, or Kohana is from Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, that was the Guild Marm there. And so some characters had names, some didn't, but 4 had that same scheme. So, like, the blacksmith is called The Man. That's his name. The Man.
The
Like,
Man.
that's his name.
That's how you get it
and your
done.
leader is the Caravaneer, and he just goes, oh. I love him.
He's awesome.
And
I
then you
miss the
had,
Caravaneer.
so you in the thing, you start out in a desert sort of commune where a lot of ships and cultures are colliding, and that's Valhabar. So it's very similar to the intro you're seeing here on the sand dunes. And you start out there, and the whole idea is you got to assemble the squad, you know, like we've got this Caravaneer, he's got like a relic thing, he's trying to figure out, you know, what's the origins, and you're off on a freaking adventure like Frodo Baggins, right? It's like, we're going on an adventure, and you meet all these people that are epic in their own ways, and you all come together to create almost like Mass Effect 2, right? Like assemble your team, right? And
Yeah.
you meet, and everybody just gels together so well, and you go on an adventure together. So in the second town, when you first depart, you go to a volcanic region called Hearth.
Which
And
is the best
inside the
Monster Hunter village.
It's a good village, yeah. You go there and it's like in shambles. Like the forges aren't moving anymore. It's all because an amphibian, which was the first was it the first amphibian that they did in the game? Maybe
It
Tetsukabra?
might be Tetsukabra, yeah.
Yeah. The monster was clogging up their the caves, so they couldn't continue
wait.
forging. But it's a blacksmith village.
It can't be the first. Wait, is the Oh, right. No, because I was thinking, I mean, there's other water monsters, and then I was thinking of the Royal Ludruth, but that's, what do you call it?
Yeah, and
He's
Leviathan.
Leviathan, yeah, exactly. So, no, Tetsukabra might be the first amphibian, yeah. Which is
Yeah, so
interesting.
they're blocking the village and... Go ahead.
Because you know that this new amphibian that we're getting. No, wait. You should get through your thing because I'm going to throw us completely off course. Go ahead. There's an amphibian. There's Tetsukabra blocking. Keep going.
Yeah, so inside a hearth there's a human-like race called the Trevarians, and they are
No, they're
sort of
dwarves.
like the... yeah, they're kind of like
They're
dwarves.
dwarves. Yeah. I'm a Trevarian.
And they're very down, and so you end up helping the village and then befriending what they're given the quote unquote the daughter of the village elder, because she's not, for some reason.
Yeah.
They don't go into the backstory. There is a human girl in this village. She's young, spunky teenager, wants to be the best weaponsmith in the world, has great aspirations. I don't know why she's there, but she's the only human there, and you end up befriending her. She ends up helping you craft a boat, the Arluk or whatever it's called, and you end up departing onto the seas with her, and she becomes a major part of your team. And one of your, she joins in with the man, and they become your blacksmith duo for the game. So there's no clear backstory to her, but we know that Little Miss Forge was her name in that game. It's just a nickname, so we don't know her actual name. But she's human. She's a blacksmith, likes to adventure and travel. So, yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes, red upper top, spunky, all the vibes that we're getting here.
All the
Gemma.
vibes we're getting from Gemma. Yep. Gemma. Jesus, I can't. It's too much.
So
Yeah.
and also even the goggles and everything, it's an exact match for what that character was. So when everyone's like, "Oh my God, is it Little Miss Forge?" and you're like, "Why are you all looking at this like hot, I don't know, 25-year-old whatever girl on a ship calling her Little Miss Forge? Like, is that an innuendo or something? Like, she strikes my iron hot? I mean, like, I don't know."
Well, I mean, she does.
But that's why I would be so happy that we don't have to call her Little Miss Forge, because it's and just so people know, no one was creepy about it before. Like, she was just
She will always be
spunky
Little Miss
teenager.
Forge to me.
Oh God.
No. No, but
Yeah,
it's
so that's
it's
I
cool.
just wanted to
Yeah, I'd
explain
like-
for people who didn't know Monster Hunter 4, like
Yeah.
who Little Miss Forge is referring to.
But I would love it if she was that character, because I think it'd just be cool. And it would be cool if we're looking for, potentially Nadia and Julius, or maybe it's not them and maybe we're actually looking for the Caravaneer. Or think of it like this: what if the Caravaneer went off on an adventure, got lost or something like that, and then they sent Julius and Nadia to go pick him back up or something?
Yeah.
Who knows? And somehow the kid gets involved. He's like, "Oh, I woke up one day and I was home alone. Mommy and Daddy left me and went to find this strange person." I don't know.
think there's
I
a
don't know how the
connection,
kid-
but I do find it a little interesting that the boy, Nada, he's got like a scar going down his cheek. I only find it interesting because the only character that I know in the game that has a really iconic face scar is the master of the ace commander of Julius, who was helping out in Dorndurma. I can't remember what name. I think they just call him the master, but he was like the old guy with the umbrella and darker skinned and had a gash. But I think that gash was specific to Kushala. I don't think it had anything to do with anything. But I don't know. I saw some design similarities there, but the age difference would be too big, so I don't think they're related.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can't let Gemma take all the spotlight because the new handler.
Alma.
What do you think? Alma, what do you think of her?
I think that Alma looks cool. I've already seen people because, they put Alma next to Gemma, and Gemma obviously looks more attractive. She's got the midriff. She's got all the things going. And so people are like, Alma is whatever. But I was like, I think Alma looks really cool. I think her design is really cool. I like the fact she's got like that green hairband on her head.
Yeah.
It's a very practical thing. Like when you're out and about, she could like cover her whole head with it in case she's out in the sun, protect herself from sand. There's all this functionality that you can get with that. And I think it's cool, the way that the character looks, and I think it's cool that she goes with you out into the field, which the other handler did as well, but she usually would stay behind.
Well, she was just going out looking for food.
Yeah, she just wanted food. But I mean, you even have that scene where you see both her and the Palico and the main hunter.
Yeah,
and everybody's just like riding along and surveying the area and whatnot. I'm curious to see what types of interactions we'll have with her as we're going through and doing hunts and doing all of that stuff.
Her voice in English, it's got to be, what's her name, Brianna White, the voice of Aerith. It sounds so familiar.
I have no
I don't
idea.
know, but the voice to me was like immediately, even the Japanese was like, I know that. I think they must have a really iconic voice actress for her, but I love the voice and the atmosphere that I'm getting from her. And it's a good contrast with Gemma, right? Like if I was gonna like sit down and enjoy a movie and a cup of hot chocolate with somebody, that'd be her. And if I want to go to like a monster truck rally and get drunk and
that would be Gemma
and go wild, that'd be Gemma. Yeah, perfect mix. But I saw some people being rather weird about her design and saying she looked too contemporary or something. I'm like, have you even looked at the rest of the characters of the universe of Monster Hunter? We're not in medieval ages or something. I mean, like,
oh yeah, I've seen
or
people
like,
say that
it's
her
a Starbucks girl and
her clothing doesn't appear to suit the game, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, she's gonna be getting dressed in like the summer clothes of the previous handler anyways pretty soon, so it's not gonna make that much of a difference anyway.
Yeah, but she seems really nice. So, yeah, I think it's a win-win on every front. I think all the new characters look really great, and I'm looking forward to learning more about them.
So,
the textures. I know that the models are probably different for cutscenes, but the textures on the clothing were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
like you can tell like I'm assuming this is probably the RE engine. It's got to be.
It's got to be RE engine. I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it had kind of like an RE vibe to it, you know.
I believe that they're supposedly working on a more evolved version or whatever it was. I've heard this somewhere that it's supposed to be REX. It's like Rex engine or whatever. I don't know. I've heard this somewhere, but I don't actually know anything about it. But fundamentally, a really cool thing that we also got as the characters showed up, and that I didn't even realize until a lot of people started talking about it. Because initially, you see the trailer, you hear the voices of the characters speaking and all of that stuff. I didn't even associate this, but the Palico speaks. And this was interesting because Palicos have always spoken. It's just they were never voiced. But it was always
the wild felines, like in the maps, those would always just growl or whatever at you. But normal cats, they always talked. I mean, that's where the best cat puns came from. Yeah,
and the thing to me is they were just never voiced, and so I guess people just never associated that with they actually do speak, and because they're just used to reading the text or whatever. Maybe they don't care that much, but they speak, and apparently they speak English, and apparently a lot of people didn't.
So cute. Like,
a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people didn't like that. So
as a Prowler main, I love it. Are you kidding me? Absolutely love it because like I made a tweet and I think people misunderstood it that like, oh, you didn't know they spoke English. I was like, I know that. It's just they've never been voiced.
Yeah.
And to hear it voiced, I mean, you had Naviru, right? But he's kind of special, right? Like he doesn't really count as your Palico. And I did not like the English voice for that character. I really love the Japanese one though. But the voice here is great. I think they channeled the similar energy on both voices really well. But I love it. Yeah, I can't wait to hear. Because, I mean, being out in the field, if you really want to have, like you said, like an immersive, more, just get lost in this world. If the monsters are all acting and behaving and have complex AI and they're reacting to what's around them, and you're just this hunter walking around with your sword, it's going to be nice that you can actually have some interactions maybe now as you're riding. Maybe, like, your cat will start pointing stuff out, like, oh, look at those guys over there, and it'll be really fun, I think. And I'm sure they'll have toggles for you can change the
That was
frequency in which they speak. I'm gonna pump it to max though. You kidding me?
Yeah,
feelings are the best part of Monster Hunter for me. I love them.
That was the thing that I instantly brought up, which is I hope that they do something of a toggle. Not for me, because I'm also going to pump it to the max very much the same way that it was with Rise and Sunbreak, when it's, oh, your hunter is actually going to have a voice this time around. He's going to do barks while he's doing we call these barks, which is whenever a character says stuff while they're in the middle of an action, like, oh, I'm gonna hit you really hard, or whatever. Oh, here I come, but be purged by light. Random stuff that characters say in video games, right? Those are the barks while they're in the middle of the action. And we got that with
lines.
we got that with Rise and Sunbreak, and they allowed us to kind of like tune in just how much you actually wanted of that, to the point where I think you can straight up turn it off and your hunter never says anything. And so with the Palico, I hope they do the same thing, but the way that it works is the more you put it towards one end, it would just change it towards meows. So if you put it all the way to one end, now he just does meows like you usually get, and then you get a little bit of text.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the argument for wanting to turn off the audio for your hunter, only because there's people who like to roleplay, and you don't necessarily want, if
we
there's
haven't
not a
we
breadth
haven't
of
even
options, then
we haven't even talked about the hunter yet. We were just talking about the cat first. But yes,
oh god,
the hunter,
yeah, we're already jumping around.
The hunter also speaks. Yes, the hunter also speaks, and I believe this is the first time we've had a voiced protagonist in a Monster Hunter game. And I've always been of the opinion, make my character speak. That is, I prefer my character to speak in any situation possible. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, but my silent protagonist. Okay, you enjoy your silent protagonist. I wish my character could always speak. It's like, even
my
for
name
instance,
is Commander Shepard, and I approve this message.
Even for instance, right? In the Final Fantasy 14, and without getting specifically into spoilers, but the thing that happens at the end of Shadowbringers, and your character does the thing, and then he speaks, and I was like, this is so much better. Oh my god, this is so good.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, she speaks,
He,
whatever.
she.
Whatever. Depends on your character. But you know exactly the scene that I'm talking about at the end of Shadowbringers. The thing happens. And I was like, all of this time of silence. And then I hear these words coming out of my character. Oh, my God. So to me, I always prefer it when my character speaks. It's just a no-brainer. But I understand that a lot of people don't want that. But I don't think you're going to have an option in cutscenes.
Yeah, because if they're considering that they have a voice, that's the only thing I'm wondering, if they're going to have like one static voice, like Commander Shepard, or if they're going to do if they're actually going to record the entire game with like three different voices.
I'm assuming they're doing the same thing that they're doing with Dragon's Dogma 2, which is pitch shifts. So you have your one voice,
that was
and
weird
then
for me. I hope they improved that.
that thing can get a little bit
really
wonky because sometimes certain characters, let me just make that voice deeper. And now I sound like this.
Hello, Master. Would you like to have a treasure chest? It was unnatural.
Would you like to have a treasure chest?
You had the natural sound, and then you could, pitch switch it. Sounded a little weird.
I don't know.
I want to see the hunter customization though. If the NPCs look this interesting and good, I hope we get that. I hope whatever they did in Dragon's Dogma 2 can be applied here, because holy shit, that game.
Yeah, the character creator for Dragon's Dogma 2,
even half of that would be good.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I love the character creator on that. I already know that I'm not going to get a height slider, because Monster Hunter never gives us height sliders.
Yeah.
I just want to make a chunky dwarf. People are already saying, "Oh, you're gonna get your whole thing with the baby hands." You remember seeing that screenshot that I took of my character? He's all thick, like massive forearms, and he's got these little tiny baby hands. So yeah, that would be exactly what I would do. Just give me baby hands, Chonker McChonkenstein. That would be me, but I don't think that's going to be possible. But then again, with the amount of detail that we have on these armors, it's not particularly surprising that is going to be the case. But while we're on the subject of voices, one of the things that I really liked was when you hear the handler tell you, "We are now commencing this hunt by order of the guild." I don't know what it's about. That just sounds so badass because, like, oh, we're preparing to do this hunt. And then we are now commencing the hunt. It just sounds so official, you know? It's crazy.
And that's where I made a comment about this on my video, and I think some people misunderstood it because I said, "Oh, it's so corny." It is. I love corny. Like, do you not know that I love Palicos? I love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I like corniness. Like, it's hitting the nail on the head. But it's cool. It's a cool moment, right? Because they confirmed on the website that as you're going around the locale, if you run into a large monster, you can start your quest organically in the locale. And that will be the official start. So I imagine like a timer will go, jung, and appear at the top. And that starts the quest. And that is cool. Because that's what we were talking about when we were like semi-open world. Like, what would you like to see? You know, I was talking about, I would love it if you're just walking around. And if you see a large monster, you can go and, I mean, it's not going to be open world, so I don't imagine you'd have other hunters and you could see them like an MMO, but, you know, being able to start quests organically like that, and it's better than just like, oh, yeah, there's 3 large monsters in an area and you can fight them if you want. It's like, no, it's like starting the quest, like, now commencing the hunt by order of the guild. It's cute. I like it.
And a really cool...
She probably is with you during that, and maybe when a hunt starts or something, maybe then she just like, okay, I'm gonna back off now and observe and take notes.
She's like in the background, and she tells you, "We're now beginning this in the name of the guild," and then she pieces out. I think that would make sense. Out. Yeah, and the really cool thing while we're on this topic is the way in which they started that hunt. Because that, again, is just one of the really cool immersive things, because there's a herd, and this is something that they explained on the website, because initially my theory was that we're going to have large monsters, small monsters, and potentially medium monsters. And in the website, they straight up say, no, sometimes large monsters are in herds, which is the case for Chonker Boy, what's his name, Dashaguma, right? Dashaguma? That's what you said earlier. So Chonker Boy Dashaguma is in a herd, and you just go in there and you separated him from the herd. And to me, anything that involves those types of strategic planning, hunting type actions, these are all things that I want to see them double down and triple down on. The more simulation / immersion type stuff for the hunting thing, things that separate it from just being a boss fight. And it's something much more intentful and deliberate, as in, okay, we need to separate it from the herd so that we can isolate it, and then we can actually start the hunt. I love that.
I didn't cover it in my video because I didn't have enough information and I just wanted to have my reactions. But did you see the creature that came out of that quicksand that attacked the... It looks like a Dalamadur, like a baby Dalamadur. It's got the spikes going all the way down the head.
I called it strange
it's got
sand.
Like a Najarala.
Strange sand mini Lagiacrus. I'm not married to that, but it definitely feels like some type of snake-like creature that, because it coils around him.
Yeah, and it's got 4 little limbs. It coils around him. It's like a snake because it's got like a tail. Yeah, it's not very long, and on its back, it's got skin like an alligator, but at its top, it's got the same bladed design that a Dalamadur has, and so it looks like a serpent winding around and constricting against him.
That means we're probably going to be getting some serpents. Najarala going to make a comeback.
Yes, I'm excited. It's some of my favorite type of monsters. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my god. I wonder if that's going to be the monster that they're going to show in the next trailer or what.
Yeah, because that...
But the action quickly fades away. Like, it just... I don't...
They didn't want it that one to be the focus. That one's kind of just like a little
This looks
teaser.
more like a starting monster, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a big deal. He's just someone that kind of coils around. He's
what
almost
if
like
just a small monster and looks cool. It's possible, right?
That's a very brave small monster that decides to coil around a Dashaguma. Just let me just see what happens here. And people
I
were
mean,
saying
he gets yeeted by it.
no, that's a different one. No, wait, no, he gets yeeted into the ground by it, and then he throws a different monster at the hunter. If that's what you mean. The monster.
No, I'm looking at the monster. I'm looking at the monster he's throwing, and it's the same type of monster.
No, I
it's just
think
from the
it's
belly.
different. I think it's very different. Maybe we're thinking of a different thing, but I think it's a different monster.
Yeah, I don't think this is like flagship or anything. I think this could be a small monster. It could be another large monster. It could be something like a Great Gyros.
I was thinking,
level.
I was thinking almost like the Beatotus of this game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something
That's
like
about
that.
right.
Because Beatotus also didn't he do like
Something
the coil
fishy like
thing?
that
Yeah.
goes in and goes out, coils around you, gets thrown, turf wars. Something with a tough hide to make you want to have green sharpness at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that's probably what that dude is. But that was really cool, and people were telling me that potentially he was the one who put that trap, because I was wondering, was that a pitfall trap because the rest of the herd's getting stuck on there? But that monster is like swimming in that pitfall trap if you pay attention. So it's like, could the monster be the one who set it up?
I imagine this is probably just something that naturally happens with the storm, and they thrive in that situation, right? Like maybe those monsters come out at night when it's thunderstorming and there's the anomaly event happening. I don't know.
Speaking of storms, so an interesting thing as well was that the English website says each hunting locale features an environment with 2 dynamically changing identities. In your video, you said there was 3. And it's interesting because they say the hunting locale features an environment with 2 dynamic changing identities, and then they have 3 pictures.
Yeah, I think it's probably like, I could see why maybe in the English version they're like, well, if we sell like 3, then it sounds almost like it's like Pokemon. You've got like thunder map, sand map, heat map. I don't know, but like there's 2 major states, right? There's the lush, happy, all the monsters are out grazing, colorful. Then you've got, at least on this map, it's a sandstorm, right? So not many monsters are out. It's almost like nighttime, and monsters are fending for survival. More dangerous ones come out. And then you have the event, the weather event that occurs. And so you can have like the dark, gloomy sandstorm without, I think, the lightning and everything going off. It feels like they're not always a pair. I could be wrong. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I don't think
in the Japanese blog they mentioned 3, where in the English they mentioned 2, and I found that interesting. But I thought, well, maybe a weather event is not really like an actual state. Like you wouldn't consider that like, oh yeah, it's like nighttime. Oh yeah, it's a thunderstorm time. Like maybe they're considering that an event.
I think it's going to be important. I do think it is going to be 3. I think that they just don't want to give all of that information away right now, which is why there was a bit of a discrepancy between the Japanese one and the English one, and there's been stuff that since now has been changed on the Japanese one as well, because there's some information that's not there anymore. So yeah, it's a little bit weird the way that some of the stuff is being released now, but I think that it is going to be important that it's going to be 3, because you're going to have the harsh region, wherein there's not going to be as much resources and the monsters are ravenous and they're fighting for the limited resources. And then there's the regular one, where it's just everything's fine, bountiful resources, monsters are more peaceful. I think in a way it's going to be harder to hunt when it's in the harsh region mode. But then on top of it, there's the lightning mode. And I still think that the lightning is going to be related to some elder dragon or something along those lines. And the lightning mode, I think, is going to make things even harder. So I do think it is going to be different. I think that you're going to be jumping in there. And I think that the idea is going to be, say, for instance, we're both playing the game, but we're not playing together. I get a quest and you get a quest, and the environment is not static. So it's not like right now in Monster Hunter, quests are static. So pretty much in all Monster Hunter games, quests are static. So when we do the quest, it's going to be same time of day, same weather. In this one, I don't think that's going to be the case. In this one, I think you get a quest to go kill a Rathian. I get a quest to go kill a Rathian. I might get the lightning map, and you might get the bountiful map, and your quest might be easier. My quest might be harder. I think it might be.
Yeah, I'm
dynamic.
thinking it's going to be more. It could be more frequent. Like during a quest, you'll have several cycles changing, maybe, or maybe that's completely out of scope. I don't know, but
I think that
that could be
the
interesting,
cycles
too.
changing is going to happen when the Elder Dragon that's going to be again, my theory that this is caused by an Elder Dragon, when that Elder Dragon happens to be in the map, then you have the changing. Because you see the changing in the other trailer. We're running away from it as the stuff is changing, and then you see it change back to normal. So I think that's going to be happening when that Elder Dragon is either in the map, or the Elder Dragon might be influencing the map. So he's not technically speaking in the map, but it might be like flying overhead or underground, depending on what he does. But he might be too far to actually be a part of the hunt. But, you get an information when you're going there, as in weather might be unstable because the Elder Dragon was spotted in the area or something along those lines.
Yeah. In the trailer, though, when they transition the same scene, they're showing like the sort of like lush time and then the more dark, gloomy side. And they show like the less amount of monsters. All the grass is buried underneath the sand. And it really looks and feels like a different area, but in a way that is believable. Like if the grass is just disappearing, that'd be weird, right? But if it's covered in a layer of this sand, it makes sense. The best part of the trailer, arguably, happened at the 46-second mark, right before the transition. There is what appears to be a very recently born baby Puke Puke flying out of the tree. And it is the cutest thing ever. Whoever thought of this is a genius. It is so cute.
It just makes you go in there with the net. And it's like, plok!
Oh my
put him in your pocket.
And the fan art that's been all over Twitter has been fantastic.
Little baby Puke Puke.
I am in love. It looks so derpy and so cute. Oh my god.
Puke Puke is an awesome monster. It's interesting because a lot of times we don't pay that much attention to the starting monsters. I feel like in World, those were some of my favorites. Like even, what's his name? Kuluyaku. I love Kuluyaku.
Yeah.
Such an amazing little derpy dude running around stealing eggs like and then eating the egg. Then you interrupt him and he drops the egg and makes some mess and he's like, my egg. I think that's really
Which makes
cool.
me I want to break us into a discussion actually, now that we're talking about cuteness or just aesthetic of monsters, but what do you think about Doshaguma?
Doshaguma? He reminds me
I'll
of...
just cue this up. I think he's ugly as hell. It looks like he's got an alien face, like it was mangled, and it looks like an eldritch horror, right? Like
it looks like those dogs that look like they have a Sharpie on their face. I forget what the breed of those dogs is. You know what I'm talking about? They have like all of that loose skin, and it like completely covers their face up. That's kind of what it reminds me of. I don't know what type of breed that is. I don't know too much about dog breeds, but that's more what that reminds me of. But a monster version of that.
I see what
so
you're
it's
saying.
a
My
bit
problem is you
exaggerated.
know how it's got like the two glands at the top of its head?
Yeah,
I look at those
look
and I
weird.
see them as eyes.
They're not eyes.
I see those because I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm looking at a screenshot now. Like you've got the mouth, you've got like a little flappy like doggy mouth, you've got a nose, and then you've got the eyes look like they're completely just shut. It's like the dog with the folds over its eyes, but
yeah, exactly.
then it's got these things on the top of his head that look like insect, like fly eyes, and to me it's eldritch horror. It's disgusting, and
he reminds me of what is it called? Why is my memory so bad? It's because I haven't slept. The big monster that does ice swords in Rise. You know the one I'm talking about. Bear looking thing.
Yeah, Gosharag.
Gosharag, yeah, exactly. That's what he reminds me of. He reminds me a lot of Gosharag.
Yeah.
Except not in the face because he doesn't have the same. But overall, that's the vibe that I get, except, like I said, dog type of thing. But he's very friggin' feral. I'll give him that. He's extremely feral, very violent, but I think he's going to be one of the easier monsters, which is why he's got the herd to kind of like complicate things. But I'll make it easier to farm his set.
Interesting enough,
just
the
kill the whole herd.
names are Yeah, so far the names have been identical for both English and Japanese, which is interesting.
Doshaguma is the same in both languages? Interesting.
Yeah, it's Doshaguma in Japanese. And Guma is from Kuma, which means bear. So
okay,
you don't
makes
get
sense.
You lose that a little bit in the English, but yeah, I don't know what dosha comes up with, and it's kanji name, like they give them nicknames in Japanese. It's such a weird character that they're using for it that I don't know how to properly translate it. I mean, it's like to open or pioneer, throw wide open the doors. Like it's just a weird kanji that they're using. So it's some type of beast. I don't know. Like maybe it's like the roaming beast or something. Maybe that's what they mean, because he roams the wild and he stalks prey and does stuff like that and takes advantage of the situation. Not sure, but yeah, Doshaguma is Doshaguma. What do you think about the? So we got to look at two large monsters, which again are usually the game's opening easy tier monsters, but this one
before we jump into the second monster, I wanted to bring up a couple of the herbivores, the carotenoths. I believe that's what they're calling them. What?
The names are so hard.
Carotenoths. What's it called in Japanese? The little roly boys.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't make notes. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I just wanted to point out that my theory was correct. I read somewhere, I don't know exactly if it was in one of the blog posts or on the official website, but those boys, basically the way that it works is exactly like I predicted, which is the male is the one with the spikes, and he protects the females from lightning. That's exactly how it works. And I was like, yep, that's pretty... Or was that even in the trailer? That might have even been in the trailer, now that I think about it. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much what I expected of those, and I thought that it was really cool that that's pretty much the way that those dudes work. What are your thoughts on it?
No, I mean it sounds about right. So I like it. I love when they have, two different parts of the same species for monster, and you can see the differences, like the female kestodons and stuff like that. It's always interesting to see those differences.
And they've basically evolved to survive in the Forbidden Lands. That's why they have spikes to discharge the lightning into the ground and protect the females of the herd. Which means that every single one of those spiky boys, he's getting laid by a lot of females.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Let me see the size of your spike. Huh?
I can't... Let me see the size of your spike. Now I'm imagining him mating, and then he gets struck by lightning halfway. Goes like,
ah! Electrifying, man. It vibrates.
Oh, no.
A tingly sensation I feel in me. What is this feeling?
Oh man!
You can almost say that he's horny. He's
oh
spiky.
my god! The puns just keep on coming.
You know what? I think now that I'm freeze framing the Doshaguma, I'm now realizing, like, I never saw the face. I really thought it was an insect face. Like, I didn't realize it was a doggy, a rabid Cujo devil dog.
So it doesn't look as bad to you right now? It
doesn't look as alien to me, but
there you go.
I've gotten over it. But I used to have a fear of large dogs when I was a kid, because I was mauled by a few dogs when I just had this weird thing. I think it's because, in the town that I was at, there were several aggressive dogs, and I think the owners were not very nice to those dogs, and so they had anger issues, and they would get out and they would sort of attack people and just be very scary. And I think, dogs smell fear, right? And I think they probably misinterpret that signal as like, okay, this person sus as shit, like what's going on. And so like when I hear the, and I get all scared and my heart starts racing, I seem to always get targeted by the damn dogs, and they would get really aggressive with me, even though I was scared shitless. So it could be my old phobia is saying, hey, yeah, you don't like these mean rabid doggy things. Like, that's scary.
These mean looking dogs.
It's definitely not cute. I was actually talking to Yuna this morning about the cute factor, because I made a comment and she had the same comment, which is the two monsters they showed aren't cute. And then people are like, "Wait, what the hell are you looking at? It's a monster, you moron! What are you talking about?"
No,
cute?
I disagree
then I
with them
realized
not
that-
being cute. I think that the Shata Cabra, I think he's cute as
Yeah.
hell. He's a cute boy. He's a good one. He's a good amphib. I thought it was weird though, because in the message from the developers that they did this morning, they actually brought up, "Oh, we haven't done an amphibian monster in a while." And I was like, "Wait, what? The Tronodon exists. What do you mean you didn't make an amphibian monster?"
I think they made the same mistake that I made, because I said that also in my video, because that's what's in my head is, and I think what the mistake is that I made, and they're making as well, is that it's a type of monster that doesn't often get new types added. It's one of the least. It's one of the types of species of monsters that don't appear that often or much, and so we got a really nice amphibian in like you're saying, Rise, your boy, Tetranodon. He's adorable as hell.
He's awesome.
Is the first thing I think of, like if you were to make a deformed plushie of these monsters, is there a characteristic about their body that is cute? Like the big belly, or like the chicken legs or something, right? Like, is there like a little, it's furry, or there's got to be something in there that's kind of cute, and I don't see that at all with Doshaguma. I don't see any redeeming quality for him. He's an Arzaroth that's been hit in the face with a frying pan that's on with boiling water. Because he's got the body of an Arzaroth, but he's got the face of an Eldritch Horror. And now I'm going to see it, and it's even worse now, maybe, because it looks like a mean, was it Doberman or not Doberman? No, I don't know the name either, but
Yeah.
it looks like a very mean dog with alien head. So,
A very mean
at least
alien dog.
With Chatakabara, like actually taking a look at the monster, because the things happen so fast in the trailer, right? So all we saw was big girthy tongue.
And by the way, here's another Portuguese translation for you. Chata means annoying, although it is the female version of annoying. So chata means someone is being annoying to you. You would tell them, "You're annoying, chata." And then cabra means goat. So
wow, annoying goat.
Annoying goat.
What did they call Mercedes in Dragon's Dogma 1? The she goat?
She goat. So yeah,
you will retract those words, good sir.
The literal translation of Chata Cabra would be annoying goat in Portuguese. But yeah, that's not the point. It's more like we have Tetsu Cabra and now we have Chata Cabra. I'm not sure what would Chata
that monster,
means
I think,
in
does
Japanese.
have more cuteness. Nothing that I know of.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, and Kabara is the same thing from Tetsu Cabra. Obviously, it's just playing off the same naming scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And the kanji for it, like its nickname is pretty basic. It's just talking. It's using the character for like to gather, like, because what it does is it licks its. It's almost like I should just call it, what is it, what is the name of that candy where you lick it and then you put it in like the sugar?
I have no
Do you
idea.
have those in Europe?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that we do, because
Popsticks
that's
or something.
I mean, there's
never.
popsicles, but you usually don't lick those and put in sugar. But yeah,
But
I know what you're talking
that's
about.
what the kanji is for, right? Yeah, because he licks his arms, so he can then apply,
So
chocolate.
when I saw that part of it and I read that part of it in the website, the first thing that came to mind, I said it was Bloodsport, but the name of the movie is not Bloodsport, it's Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Van Damme.
Yeah. So you remember that
What a
scene
film.
where he's about to fight Tong Po and they
Yeah.
do the thing
Dip
and then
their
they
hands in
they
the
dip their
glass.
hands and they put glass
broken
on the
glass.
gloves. Yeah, they put broken glass.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, so this dude licks his hands
Yes.
and then he puts rocks so that he can deal more
Mhm.
damage onto his enemies. It reminded me a lot of that movie. Is that something
so he's
that
got cuteness. I
they
will say.
actually did in Muay Thai? Do you know? Because I was like,
Muay Thai, I don't know.
yeah. I was wondering if that's the way that they did it back in the day. Oh yeah, let's have like some actual proper combat here, and we're gonna dip our stuff into broken glass. Maybe that was just something that they did for the movie, but that always stuck
Yeah.
with me. But yeah, he does that, and he has a lot of adhesive, which then also explains the thing that he does in the trailer, because if you notice, he actually licks the ground at one point. And I'm assuming that our hunter can get stuck in the saliva as well, because it's going to work kind of like glue, so you probably can get stuck on it.
Yeah, I think if I show the actual renders and the screenshots to you, she'll agree. I think he's got some cuteness to him. It's just in the context, the trailer's so fast, I missed a lot of it. But like, he's got the big, almost like Devil Joe, like
he's got a Devil
jaw.
Joe chin, yeah.
Yeah, the chin, and he's small, but he's got like those huge ass chunky arms, so he like pummel you with, and he kind of looks like an alligator, right? Like the top of his face is kind of flat. You kind of want to put your coffee on there, you know.
Put your coffee on top of the Chatacabra, yeah.
So I will take back. I think
Chatacabra
is they call it Chatacabra.
You were talking about plushies.
Cute.
What would be the cute thing they would do? They would just give him a fat tongue. He just has like
they would either give him the fat tongue, or they would play with the jaw or the hands, or both.
Yeah, see, there's plenty of cuteness with Chatacabra. The other one, not so much. The Dashiguma, not so much. But one of the things that was actually impressive to me with the Dashiguma is in some scenes of the trailer, when you get close enough to actually fight him, he's way bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah.
The scale
like
of him?
Helm, Arzuros, like he's
bigger than Arzuros, I feel like. He's friggin' massive. He's huge. And which is weird, because the first time that we saw him on the other trailer, I was like, oh, it's a medium-sized monster. And I was like, never mind. He's a big boy. It's huge. Oh, yeah. And he throws things. He throws other monsters at you, which is another one, which is cool. I think the one that he picked up is another one of the female Karatnoths.
He throws several different monsters in this trailer.
He's a throwy boy. Like, I throw things at you.
Maybe that'll probably be the joke with him is, in Japan they call it Chabadai Gaishi. It's like the old man at the table drinking his beer, smoking cigarettes, upset and flips the table, like just goes. It just overflips the table. Like, that's kind of like, I can imagine some memes with him. Flip the table.
Yeah. But I like the Chonky boy. Chonky boy I like more than that one. Dashiguma.
Doshiguma. Yeah, the names don't exactly roll off the tongue.
Listen, nothing rolls off of my tongue after 6 hours of stream, and now it's 2 a.m. recording a podcast. There's nothing rolling off of this tongue. My throat already is murdering me. But I liked the
way I would describe though, like cuteness though. I was thinking of an example, and I don't know if people get it, because we have that whole concept of kimokawa in Japan, which is ugly cute. The more uglier and the more
that's me
weird
I'm the ugly cute.
No, you're just cute.
I'm the ugly
you got the same. Your shirt's like the same color actually of the Chatacabra.
I'm representing
side of my screen.
I'm representing.
Yep, you get the chin.
All I need is a couple of dimples in here.
Think like Giganox. I was thinking Giganox versus Kezu. Kezu is considered cute in Japan. Giganox, not so much. I think it has to do with. I think it's an exaggerated part of the body.
You guys actually consider him cute?
Yes, Kezu's adorable. And he got such a good smile and walking around all blind and screaming and long neck. I mean, come on, it's adorable. Look at all the products that we have here for Kezu. It's unbelievable.
I think Jesus would disagree with that assessment. I don't know if you know who Jesus is.
Who is Jesus? I don't know.
If by some reason you hear this, Zeus, I love you, man.
Does he hunt for our sins?
No, listen. You're gonna be memed on forever for what you did. I'm sorry, bro. I love him. He's a Bloodborne speedrunner. He's a Bloodborne speedrunner, and at one point in his life, he played Monster Hunter Rise.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to Village Kezu, he got filtered hard.
What, he kept running into the electrical stuff and getting his ass zapped and stunned?
He rage quit the game and he said, "This game sucks. If you like this game, you like bad games." Like he couldn't even turn off his console properly. He was so mad.
Kezu's giving, slapping high fives with their necks saying, "Got him!"
Got him. Kezu was like, "Got him."
Did you enjoy the background music?
No, but it's just a meme in the community. But like again, Jesus is an awesome dude. I love him. He's awesome. He's fantastic at speedrunning Souls games and whatnot. But like Monster Hunter is just a different beast, man. It's just a different beast. And Kezu
Something rub you wrong, it rubs you wrong.
Kezu rubs you wrong.
Rub one out.
Oh no. Oh my god. Yeah. So
Phallic episodes of Monster Hunter.
back on point. Back on
Don't
point.
be a Kezu.
Music.
Okay, I think we're going to differ quite a bit when it comes to our opinions on the music for the trailer. So you go first.
Absolutely love it because, I was surprised the first time I heard it, but I was like, but I'm into it, right? And this time you get to listen to it because it's more prevalent than it was in the other trailer. And I was like, I really like it. I really, really like it. This is one of my favorite Monster Hunter themes. I love that.
Interesting. I gotta listen to it back more then because my impression actually was not. It wasn't bad. It just usually the proof of a hero, regardless of whatever type of
no, but the thing is,
they do it. Usually you can hear the melody really well.
The thing is, I'm not counting proof of a hero because that's just not fair, right? I'm talking about general other Monster Hunter themes, right?
Yeah, but I mean, could you hear the melody though? Like, I don't know. I couldn't hear it, and to me, it felt too ambient.
No, I definitely can hear a melody with this track. I absolutely love it because the thing to me is, right, I like electronic music and I like guitars, and usually Monster Hunter is much more orchestral. So the fact that they put a little bit of electronic in there mixed with the usual more tribal vibes that you get from Monster Hunter.
I gotta listen to this again.
I thought
my ADD may have been making me focus on things and not hearing the music. It's possible.
Like the moment I hear it, I'm like, oh man, it's so good. I love it because it's got this kind of sci-fi start to it, and then it goes into more tribal. I absolutely love it. I adore it.
Yeah, that's why I thought that Doshaguma was an Eldritch Horror from Aliens.
It might be, but it also.
Let me listen.
Go
really
ahead.
Quick.
Go ahead. Listen to it.
Because you know what I'm excited now that I'm thinking. If you're saying there's guitar in here, again,
no, I didn't say there
really
was. No, there's no guitar in there. I'm saying I like electric music and I like guitars. There's a little bit of sci-fi in there. There's synth. That's what Davey Vosk said. It's synth, and that's what I perceive as sci-fi.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just too much.
There's a lot. There's a lot
it.
going on in the trailer, though. There's a lot of other sounds and whatnot, so it might just.
I realize this is a me issue,
but like
I
absolutely.
My attention is weird. I get overly stimulated, and other stuff just naturally gets filtered out. It's really weird.
Yeah,
and I can't hear it or I don't see it. It's just.
So I had already heard like Davi Vosk's analysis on it on the first one, and I was like, yep, I absolutely love it. And because
they should
then
put
it
the
goes
track on the website like they did with Rise, where you can hear like.
I wish they had because I love that track. I'd love to use it on some of my videos. The track is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I love that theme. I absolutely love that theme.
I'm kind of curious if one of my big complaints about Dragon's Dogma 2, even though I really liked the game, was that they changed it. That Makino-san was not the composer for it.
Oh yeah,
I really felt that he should have been.
Midway through my playthrough, I swapped to the.
What if he wasn't a composer because he was working on Wilds? I'm like totally dreaming out here because I mean I love all the Monster Hunter composers. Like any of them could do anything, I'd love it. But he'd be fun.
It would
I don't know.
be cool, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's him or not. So let's look into some more gameplay analysis because we've been talking around like themes and whatnot. We've barely touched up on gameplay.
Gameplay, yes. So the all 14 weapons are back, which makes me think that they're trying to lay out just so you don't get disappointed. They're either going to try to use that as a really cheap shot to surprise us with a 15th weapon, or there really is not a 15th weapon, and I'm going to try.
looking at the I feel like if you really think about it, right? A new weapon is one of the most important things that you can add to Monster Hunter. That would be something that you would reveal in your first. Yeah, that would be something that you would reveal in your first trailer because people would get hyped the crap up. Like maybe you could consider that the previous one is more of a teaser, and so they chose not to reveal it there. But in here, they would definitely reveal it. Instead, they go for the great sword and the heavy.
It's been 11 years, okay, since we've had a new weapon. 11 years, over half the franchise life. So, and that was Monster Hunter 4, when we had both the Charge Blade and the Insect Glaive added.
Mm-hmm.
I know the other entries like Frontier got some cool new weapons and stuff, but we're just talking about the mainline series here. It's been a long time. So I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold my hope for the Summer Game Fest trailer because I still feel like
new weapon.
This trailer, people might probably misunderstood me. I wasn't cheering when I saw it like you were. Unfortunately for me, I was like, huh, and I was getting all weird. It didn't hit with me for the first time. But then when I started reading the website and rewatching it, I got hyped. Like I was like, okay, now I know what I'm looking at. I just didn't know what I was looking at probably, but like I'll wait for the trailer at the Summer Game Fest because I that has to be like the most official trailer.
Yeah, I think that
if they don't show a new weapon, then I'm not gonna ask or hope for it. It'll be pretty obvious then.
But it's like from what they've shown in the website, I don't think I have big doubts that we're getting a new weapon because they were very specific. Hey, all 14 weapons are coming back.
Yeah. Do you think it's okay for me to still hold on to Hopium for Prowler? Or do you think that's a fool's errand for that?
Prowler.
I want to play as a cat. It's my favorite weapon.
I think that's a fool's errand. I think Prowler is an arcade type of thing, and this is more of a grounded type of thing. So Prowler, you would have to wait for the next one, and even then,
the next portable game.
Yeah, the next portable game, and even then, it's like it's not a particularly high chance. Unfortunately, it was a very niche thing. But no, I don't think Prowler will be a thing. They brought up the 14 weapons and they said we have this new thing called Focus. But before we jump into
let's talk about Focus.
Wait. Before we jump into Focus, I wanted to go through what one of the first things they do in the trailer, which is when they're separating the dude away from the pack. The first thing that they showcase
using
the slinger. So we have a hook in the slinger that allows us to pick up stuff from a distance because that's what he does. He picks up a rock from the ground. Then he shoots the rock at another rock, and then there's a rock that falls down. So it's like environmental hazards that you can use against the monsters, very much like we had in Monster Hunter World. That's something that's coming back. I mean, that was something that was present in Rise and Sunbreak as well. We just didn't use it that often, I feel.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I mean, if you're just running around and you can jam like a button to collect things that are on the ground recently in the games, like with a palamute or whatever, like herbs and stuff. If you can also hit a button and like if there's a item that's near you but you're not running directly over it and you'll just and pick it up, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what that is going to be, and then you're going to be able to use that to either fire back at them or whatever, right?
And then I want some special attack where I can put my Palico on the hook and like shoot them out.
Shoot your Palico. I don't think that's happening. Get a Palico launcher? No, I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Oh man.
But the other thing that they show as well is the swapping of the weapons on your mount.
Yes, so the sacred
before that. So the mount sacred, they have like a whole entry dedicated to it, and it was one of the things that I brought up on the first trailer that I said he is going to be a core part of the thing because you never even saw the hunter off the mount. in the first teaser.
Yeah, it's like Palamute 2.0. Palamute existed so that the sacred could rise.
Yeah. So what they say
It's
on the
got all the
website.
functionality, right? You can write on it. You can shoot on it now. You can like do
Yep.
attacks. You can collect when you're on it. They even send the website. You can like open up the map and like add like a marker and say I want to go here, and it will just
So like
it'll be like a
Tail
Tesla.
Raiders?
It'll just auto drive you.
It's like the Tail Raiders
Yeah,
were in,
which is
in
awesome.
Iceborne. They were just like driving around. I don't know how I feel about that. I like having to be the one to drive. I like having to do it manually.
You're a manual type of guy, not auto.
Yeah. I like I drive stick. I prefer to drive stick, even though right now I drive auto. But I usually prefer to drive stick. It was just this car was a really good deal, so I was like, fine,
Yeah.
whatever. But usually I prefer driving stick. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. I like
For someone
more
like me
manual.
who there's going to be so much going on, like with the environment and animals interacting with each other and stuff. I kind of like the idea that I can just tour bus it. I can just tell the bird, go. And I'm just going to like watch around me, use my slinger to pick things off. Or if I see something that's kind of neat, I would be like, shoot it with the slinger and be like, pew, pew. You know, and just sort of like harass the local wildlife. That could be fun.
So one of the things that I'm concerned with is that Sacred, one of the things that they show him do in the trailer is the hunter gets hit. Right before he gets hit, he whistles, which I would assume is how he calls the mount. And then as he's on the
where you're
ground,
going with this.
he comes in, pecks him with the head,
Scoops
like
him
scoops him up, puts him in it, and then off he goes. So
It's Wirefall 2.0. You don't like that, do you?
that's not what I'm saying. I don't think it's Wirefall 2.0 because
Ah,
there's
okay.
there's too much of a delay before him calling him and the thing showing up. I don't think it's Wirefall 2.0, but it is a massive safety net because what they say on the website is, you can do all of these things while you're in Sacred, including heal yourself and sharpen your weapon. And I'm just like,
That's the same
I mean,
as a Palamute, though.
yeah, exactly. But that was one of the things that I complained all the way back in Rise Beta. I said, Palamute is overpowered because you can sharpen your weapon while you're on the Palamute. So you just call the Palamute, mount the Palamute, ride around the monster, sharpen
Yeah,
your weapon
it's not
100%.
it's not risky to sharpen your weapon. Yeah, with it.
Yeah, and it's like in the case of the Palamute versus Palico, there at least you have to choose, okay, do you want the utility of having an extra Palico, or do you want the thing of being able to sharpen on the go and doing all these other things? With Sacred, you're always going to have Sacred with you. So it's no longer a choice. You always have that option of just, I'm just going to call him and sharpen while I'm running around laps around this monster. And it's a little bit immersion breaking, and I've already seen people instantly tell me, just don't do it. And it's like, yeah, but they balance the game around you being able to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, you'll probably get in situations where you need to recover and get the hell out of something like the sandstorms or something like that.
You're expected to use that, and it's like, I like the whole mounting thing and roaming around and traversal and all of that stuff.
Yes,
but being able to
Rurikhan,
sharpen, I
there's
feel, is
something
too
you can-
much.
You know what I think is too much?
What?
Being able to have a second gun lance on you at all times, just running around on a bird that you can pick up and blow people in the face. You want to swap shots? There you go. Two gun lances at once. I'm happy that they didn't go like Yojimbo style and say like, okay, you can swap between two weapons on the fly, mid combo. It would look really janky and weird. Granted, it looks a little janky still in this early build that we're seeing here. Like, swapping weapons has to happen really fast to feel good, but the animation as a result looks very fast. But they said you can hold a secondary weapon on the bird. I'm just going to call it the bird, because when I say sacred, it feels like I'm saying sacred, like a sacred temple or something. It feels weird. But yeah, when you swap your you get on it and then you can swap your weapon. I'm happy they chose that versus just being able to auto swap when you're standing, because that would be a little unrestricted.
Just
but
pulling.
They said in the Japanese blog
post
that you could have two of the same weapon type. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
so you can have your double gun lance.
So you were talking about the animation. I think it's funny because I think some people even interpreted the fact that he he sheathes the greatsword in there, pulls out a gun
And
lance.
pulls out a heavy bowgun. And
A heavy
5
bowgun, yeah,
frames.
not a gun lance, yeah. So I think a lot of people even thought that, oh, it's a gun sword. Because like, and like it transformed from a
there's no
sword
way
into a
around
gun.
it. Yeah, you gotta have an amount of game magic, otherwise a certain shield would be faster to swap weapons than like a lance or something, right?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm cool with it.
The thing is, how's it gonna work for like multiple sets? Because you won't be able to, for instance, go to from a damage set into a gunner set and be effective, right? It's gonna be weird because you're gonna be lacking some quality of life skills on one
Your
set
item
or
pouches
the
and
other.
stuff, right?
Like
Your
unless
armor,
there's
yeah.
a different armor set that gets associated when you swap weapons. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but
Yeah,
that's
I'm
going to be a
curious
little
about
bit
that
weird.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Or-
swapping
or
your
maybe-
weapon won't really do much.
Or maybe the whole idea is if you want to make use of two
Equipment set?
weapons, you have to sacrifice the speciality of your weapon.
Ah,
You know, it might
that
be
would
a-
I would be down for that. I
Yeah.
think that would be a good trade-off because now that they have two,
You get to
biomes
use two
with
weapons.
two distinct phases, right? And you can have fights in which you can do a Latreon, right? But map. So like you're fighting a monster and they're in a phase where, like like the mud-covered monsters, right? Like at that point, water would be really good or fire, right? What if they then switch into another phase and thunder is better, right? And like you can have a thunder weapon with you, but if you make your set completely focus on just fire up, then you're gonna lose some of that advantage when you swap. But as a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
I think they could play more with phases of monsters and elements
So
because of the system.
the way that I'm thinking about it is I already have two weapons that actually synergize really well with similar gear sets, which is Charge Blade and Gun Lance.
But I just thought.
Charge Blade and Gun
I'm
Lance,
sorry.
those work well together. So to me, that is an option. The other option is actually I just get access to two different shelling styles, so I can either go
Yep.
poke shell poke with wide shelling, and then I can go now. Oh, now I'm going to swap, and now I'm going to go full burst, and hey, it is what it is.
I just had a really bad thought, which was like, oh my
Uh-oh.
god! Imagine if you only have one armor set and you can have two weapons, and the trade-off of not specializing on one of those is that you can swap them. The problem that would just make the current meta even worse because the current meta is just run a crit set. Crit
Yeah.
is king. Like everything else is like, yeah, screw off. I don't like that, and I really hope that they change that. I want to see more variety and more rewarded. At least in the older games, like if you wanted to go like heavy sharpness, then you'd have to lose something. Like there was like that balancing act. Right now, it's just, yep, just crit yourself out, you're good to go. And it's just like, no, I want more than just crit sets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to see how it works, but I'm happy. Two weapons and having two of the same type is pretty baller. I think that's a great move, and I think that's something we were talking about when we were like, I wonder what they should or will do for the next game, and weapon swapping was always on that list.
Yeah, weapon swapping.
But yeah, I
is
don't
one
know
of the
how.
things that
Wonder,
could-
yeah, like if you can have armor sets though, you're not going to be able to change your armor on the bird, like. That would
It
be
does-
pretty funny.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you would change your armor, but again, it could be one of the situations that we're talking about. Hey, it's just video game magic. But the thing is,
Yeah.
if that would be the case, in the trailer they would show it, right? It wouldn't be
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
true,
you
yeah.
you swap this and you still have the same armor. So I think it would be expected that either that or they're changing how armor works, and maybe armor is just cosmetic now. But I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of that. Because they could have armor just be cosmetic, and then you would equip something like, oh,
It's the decos, right?
you
Make
put,
those the
you
equipment
put
that
a
you craft.
charm, and then you put a bracelet and a couple of rings, and that kind of gives you the skills, which is what some
Hey,
games
you
do.
got me into Remnant 2, and I love that system. It's you basically have a 5-piece armor set and you have a 5-piece gear set, and the gear set. The only problem with that though is that the gear that you craft and you want, like the rings, you can't see them, right? And I think that's important in Monster Hunters to see the equipment that you
Yeah,
craft,
which
because
is
that's what
why
gives you
I'm
the
not
properties.
a big
Yeah.
fan of that being the way that it works. So I hope that's not the case, but we'll see.
I'm sure they'll get it right.
We'll see. But so we talked about the sacred and how it kind of like picks you up and you can run around it and you can sharpen, do all of these things. You can
and
swap
it's
weapons.
Like
you have access to 2 weapons.
It can do anything, right? It can jump, it can fly, it can run.
You can fire the bow gun while you're on top of it. Makes me wonder, do I get to fire my gun lance while I'm on top of it?
That's a good question, yeah.
How does that work? Because my gun lance fires too. It's only fair. I want to go up to a monster and just full burst him in the face from the sacred thing. Why not? It's only fair.
Is he in the thing? Is he shooting with an actual like gun, or is there like a hunter's knife? Like there's a gun that you can always whip out when you're on top of it.
I think it's just a regular heavy bowgun.
Huh.
He just pulls out a heavy bowgun out of the thing and just starts shooting. Now the thing is, he's not shooting.
We can do literal run-by shootings of monsters.
Blah 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 blah.
Hey, Kiss the Dawn. Hey, Kiss the Dawn. Remember that shit you said to me yesterday? Well, life's a bitch. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh no.
That's payback, baby. Some collateral. Oh man.
No, but the whole thing was that what I noticed is, at least I think that's what it was. It didn't fire like slashing. It didn't fire explosive. It was
rounds.
Just basic rounds. That might be the downside. It's like, yes, you can fire it. You can fire normal 2s or something like that.
Yeah.
While you're on the back of the monster. I think that would be a way of going about it, and it gives you a decent. A decent reason to bring a bowgun.
I certainly won't be doing it though.
Yeah.
Elden Ring exposed my inability to use weapons as I'm riding on a mount.
You should see
suck at it. Oh my god.
You should see the playthrough I'm doing. I've killed so many bosses while I'm on the mount. It is ridiculous.
That's how Yuna does it. Yeah, she's almost never off that mount, and I'm like, how do you do it? I'm like, I just can't.
You know that those catacombs that have like one of the black knife dudes?
Yes.
I basically pushed him up against the wall, and he didn't get to move anymore. I was just like standing on top of him with my lance, and then I would do the charged R2, where he just puts the lance down, and the lance just becomes a hitbox, and then it just goes, tush, 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 and then at the end he goes like up, and it just throws him in the
Get
air,
outta here.
and then he falls into the ground because he's in a corner. He's just like stuck there. And then as he's getting back up, I'm already... So he didn't do anything. I pushed him into the corner and murdered him. But, I think that when it comes to the swapping of weapons and whatnot, for me, I already know. It's either charge blade or gun lance or double shelling styles gun lance, because that way I can swap shelling styles on the go. And that is going to be really, really fun.
I mean, if for people who will adventure, I imagine light bowgun plus anything is going to be the ultimate.
Oh yeah,
pair, because light bowgun is just the Swiss Army knife of Monster Hunter.
You can get a lot done with the with the light bowgun for sure. But then we have what I think is one of the most. I was going to bring up focus mode, because that's like one of the most.
Yeah, before we get into that, because I think now we're talking. We've covered like the stuff you can do on the field, right? And we're about to jump into more like
combat.
Like you versus monster fight. I just want to clarify something, because I think it was a little bit misunderstood. But part of I made a comment about, and I worded it wrong or bad, that the trailer wasn't working for me when I first saw it, because I don't know, it was just one of those things, and it just felt different from a normal trailer for me. But also, like, it's a huge amount of focus on, like the herds, the dynamics of all the multiple monsters, and I have to preface that with saying I'm someone who has attention issues. And so if there's a hunt like the challenge hunts where you have like 2 monsters at once in the arena, I'm at a huge disadvantage. I am really bad at handling groups of monsters. I suck at it. I don't like it. You loved
the Gold Rathian and Silver Los quest in Gen U, didn't you?
No.
That was a fun
one. At least
one.
in like the Colosseums, you have like the gate that you can put up. Oh my god. Like I don't thrive in that environment. That's a personal gameplay preference, and I understand that that's a huge focus now that I've seen the interviews and read the websites and how they're trying to show off the living breathing, like the AI, right? Like how monsters interact with each other without you there, and how you can use those to your advantage, and how the world is more dynamic. Like I get it. Like that's what they were highlighting, right? But I made a comment that was sort of like, that's set dressing. That's not the core meat of what I want to see, which is me versus monster, the one-on-one type of feel. Like I'm in an arena and we're fighting. And because a lot of the gameplay they showed was like, you've got 3 monsters in front of you or 2, and it's like, I don't want to deal with that. And I was like, okay, this is nice, but this is not the meat of what I want. And I wasn't dissing it. I didn't mean to say that I didn't like it. I love it. I think it's great and important. I just want to say that that's where I was coming from with that comment.
It's funny because like when it comes to this type of stuff, ever since World, my whole thing is if there's more than one monster, we don't use dung pods. We have to thrive in chaos as these two monsters are fighting each other. We need to pick a target and do whatever I need to do to survive, because I think it's interesting the way that they interact with each other. So that's why this resonated with me more, because I'm used to the chaos of having multiple monsters on there. But
yeah, for me, like I don't think I would interact much with that unless I had to. I think like 90% of the game, I'm going to be going in there to fight a monster. Like it's me versus them.
Just take some dung pods, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So like seeing all their hit stuff was great. It's just, and I think it's important to have. It's just, it wasn't. My brain was just going to show me the 1v1, and I'm seeing, okay, there's herds. Okay, there's 3. Okay, there's shooting on top of a bird. What? Come on! And then we get a little taste at the end, and they were showing off the next big feature, and this is going to be the defining feature of the game, which is the focus mode.
Focus mode. So you have to be the one.
You
have to be the one to explain this one a little bit better, because you got way more information from the Japanese side of things.
Yeah. So in the trailer, when you see the greatsword user, sort of like switch the way that they're holding their blade, it's almost like
they go into a stance.
Have you ever seen the other awesome Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, The Quest?
Maybe.
He's fighting the big Mongolian guy, and he changes up his style stance. And he's like, in the middle. It's like, okay, it's serious mode now, baby. And he like holds the greatsword in this super cool way, where the blade is like, it's almost like he's holding it in a defensive pose for parrying, because he's got the blade upward, and he can do different moves. And we get to see the camera seems to zoom in a little bit. And the way they're saying is that every weapon you can toggle between regular and focus mode. I don't know if this is their answer to the mass base of players saying, "Hey, I want a lock-on type of mode."
You can toggle?
It's a mode that you actively go into or out of.
I wouldn't imagine that it's you can toggle it at any time. I would imagine that there needs to be something there, like some type of cooldown, or can you just at any time you're like, nope, I'm going into focus mode right now? You think that's what it's going to be?
We'll have to wait and see. But the way they are phrasing it is that focus mode is another way that you can enjoy battles. It allows you to zoom in a little bit more, like a face-to-face, man-to-monster type of thing. And apparently it's supposed to make it easier for you to target weak spots. For aiming, it's going to be easier. And then every weapon will get a new suite of skills that are unique to focus mode. So because it's more like 1v1 like boxing, they mentioned that some weapons will have, if you hit a weak spot or a wound, which I'll talk about in a minute, if you hit a weak spot, then you can follow it up with special attacks when you're in this focus mode. And we see a little bit of that in the trailer, where like the greatsword user hits a weak spot, and then he like kind of runs with the blade and just gashes and slices into him, which was really cool. They mentioned that some weapons that can guard, like the lance and gun lance, I would imagine, you can do parries. So there'll be times where if you can do your input at the same time as a monster, then you'll be able to do a special type of like parry, and then you can follow it up with a big explosive attack. And then, so there's each weapon will have its own unique thing that it can do while you're in focus mode. It's like a new way
But-
of holding your weapon and doing it.
But before you do those special attacks like the slashing one from the side and whatnot, from what you were saying in
Yeah.
your video is you're going to have to create those weak spots first.
Openings, yeah. It's either
with
hitting a
the-
weak spot or like a perfect evade of an attack or a perfect guard for an attack. It depends on the weapon type. But in general, the weak spots is the main focus for focus mode.
But you need to land multiple hits on it in order to create the special wounding thing or whatnot.
Yeah, so this is what's the confusing part. I'm interested to see how they describe it, because there's two things going on here, right? You've got one just regular old focus mode, right? And in focus mode, each weapon handles differently, right? So like there's hit a weak spot followed up with an extra attack or like combo. That's probably like sword shield or something like that, or dual blades. Like when you hit a weak spot, maybe you can then follow it up with a finisher.
See, that's
you've got the perfect guards.
That's not my understanding of it. My understanding is, so you have the wounding thing that you're talking about, and you, in order to create those wounds, is like you attack the same part of the monster multiple times.
Yeah. So let me talk about that, because that's the confusing part, and this is where I think you just let me know about this morning, that they altered the Japanese site, the blog post, and they removed it. I mean, it was up yesterday, and everyone knows about it in Japan, but not in the English version. Is that there's a new system in the game called wounding, or whatever they'll call it in English, and basically, if you hit a part of a monster over and over again, like if you keep hitting its leg, then there's several stages of damage it can go through, and if you do enough, then it becomes a temporary weak spot. Your scout flies will gather to it, and it'll glow red, sort of like the like the hyper spots, or like the curio from Rise, and then you'll have a window where you can exploit that weak spot and do some big ass damage. So it to me, the way they worded it, it's almost like Clutch Claw, but it's not tied to an item, and it's not tied to a specific body part. It's very intuitive, right? I keep hitting its tail. Eventually that tail's going to have like a gashing wound, and I'll be able to do a big ass charge attack against it and do big damage. But that wound is apparently temporary. It's not, I don't know how it heals itself. But,
Yeah.
that
All
I
of them
don't
have
understand.
a healing factor.
Yeah, so the Japanese explains that, in focus mode specifically, when you hit they say either a wound or a natural weak spot. So they're counting them as the same, which I don't quite understand, because the face is like almost always a weak spot, right?
Yeah, so you just hit it in the face.
But yeah, so like I think they need to show that off better, and that's probably why they deleted it, is because it was kind of half-assed. But like they say, if you hit a weak spot or one of the wounds, like the temporary weak spots, then you can follow it up with an extra attack to do massive damage. And then depending on the weapon, there's other stuff in focus mode, like the perfect guarding or evading or just follow-up attacks. My immediate thought is, the thing that is concerning some people, and I can understand why, is that the way they are explaining focus mode, because they don't talk about wounding at all. That whole system is not talked about in the English sites right now. But the focus mode specifically, the English uses a wording that almost makes it sound like it's for beginners, like it's to make it easier. Like
Yeah.
it's another way of playing that's more accessible. So like
I can tell you the exact
if you're bad at
words.
aiming, and yeah,
They
please do.
say focus mode will make it even easier for players of all stripes to get in on the hunting action. By
Yeah,
making
so
it
I mean,
easier
there was-
to space yourself and aim your attacks during hunts. Yeah.
Yeah, the Japanese says, let me go to the Japanese. I want to make sure that this
But
is...
like, let me tell you what my interpretation of it was from what I've seen so
yes,
far.
please.
My interpretation is, so you're going to want to create those bloody gashes, because that's actually what you see in the trailer when he's doing that sliding slash off to the side with the greatsword. The monster has
Yeah.
those scout flies there. He's got scout flies on the leg,
Oh,
and they're
yeah,
marking
it
it,
is there,
as a wound thing. So I think what
His
needs to
back
happen
leg
is,
is all red.
yeah, first you need to create those by just repeatedly attacking those spots until you create that. Then you go into focus mode, and that allows you to deal the special attack. So I think you need both. in order to do the super special. And I think that the whole weak point thing, I don't think that'll work like that. I don't think you can just like, oh, I'm just going to target the face and do a special focus attack on the face all the time. I don't think it'll work. I think it needs to be a special focus attack after creating the weak spot. I think that's what would make the most sense from what we've seen before, so that you get the big payoff. It's like, okay, work on it. Now that you've gotten the opening, now go into focus mode. Now beat his ass.
Yeah, I maybe that's why they removed it, because I'm looking at the Japanese wording of when they're talking about the focused weak. Inside of focus, they say, I'll just give you the actual order it was in Japanese, because that'll make it easier. So in the PlayStation blog post, they first started out by saying, hey, we have a new system that we would like to explain to you guys. And they called, well, look, I like, what do you want to call it? Gash or wound? I like gash. That's kind of nice.
Sure.
Or wound.
Gash is nice.
Okay, gash. So it says, this is a new system in which you can create a weak spot on a part of the monster's body. By continuously attacking a specific part of the monster's body, it will step by step gradually result in it becoming a special weak spot for a temporary period of time. Now, the way they're saying is that if you're attacking a specific spot, the way that they're using the word specific in Japanese here doesn't mean like, okay, I can make its tail a weak spot or its toe a weak spot. It's anything can't be a weak spot. There's set areas of its body that can become wounded. It's not any piece of the body. So it's probably like the legs. And like maybe you can't do it for the tail.
It's probably going to depend on the monster.
Yeah. So it's a predetermined spots in the monsters that you can exploit to make a temporary weak spot out of by hitting it over and over and tenderizing it, so to say, literally. Then they go in and say focus mode. And they say, this is a mode in which you're able to better focus your attacks or guards. Inside of focus mode, weak spots they say weak spots or wounds or gashes. So they're saying both. Weak spots or wounds on a monster will glow red from the scout flies to let you know where they're at. Then they go they say the next character. That's
the thing. Notice how they say weak spots or gashes will glow red. So it needs to glow red.
Yes.
So even if you're like,
okay, yeah.
Even if you're hitting the face, you need to bust the face.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if the face isn't saying
because it needs to glow red, and then you get to use it with the focus mode. That makes sense.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, now I'm thinking about the wording here. It might be one of those things where, like, if they have chest armor and you break the chest, then it becomes a weak spot. I think maybe that's what they're talking about.
Then it becomes a gash.
That or a temporary gashed location will be somewhere that you can exploit. So then they say inside of focus mode, there's a special thing called a focused weakness exploit attack or weak spot attack. And they say in focus mode, if you hit a critical zone, like a critical weak spot or a wound on the monster, you'll be able to follow it into a special combo or attack to do massive damage. Depending on the weapon, when you hit, it says, depending on the weapon, there are times where you can attack the monster at the same time they're attacking you, and this will allow you to deflect them and follow it up with a powerful combo action.
This is what we do. Yeah, this is what we do in the trailer here. When
with the great sword,
the counter with the great sword,
and knocks his ass back. Yeah.
Did you notice that after that he actually uses the
he does the slinger, the new action.
No, he uses the slinger. He uses the slinger to yeet himself towards the monster.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because that's
what
really
they're talking
cool.
about. Maybe in focus mode, that's why they have the claw. What are they calling it? This actually makes a lot of sense now. The hook slinger, because they keep mentioning that focus mode makes it easy to deal with the distance between you and the monster.
Yeah, because
so it sounds like in focus mode you can zip towards it.
That's what the greatsword does. Like he bounces him off and then immediately throws a thing and pulls himself forward. That's why he instantly runs. Like that's how he gets the balance.
So if you knock over a monster and you suck it, then you do your attack and you whiff it because you're further away from the monster than you thought. then a focus mode takes care of that and says, hey,
Yep.
if you knock over the monster, you do good action, we reward you. You can then use a hook slinger or something to then quickly approach so that you don't have to think about that.
Now,
And that would make it easier for newer players or players that are not into those action games to do.
the thing for
But let
me...
me continue.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. There's more. Keep going.
Oh, sorry. There's still a little bit more. Then it says also for some monsters, if you guard their attack the moment that they try to hit you, you'll enter a dynamic, and this almost sounds like a quick time event. You'll enter a dynamic push and pull event that you could do, and that's what you see at the end, where he's pushing up against the mouth of the monster.
That was how epic was that when you first?
Yeah,
see
it was
that?
it's epic, but I don't know why they just faded out. And if you look in the background, you see like a hammer user just go like, like he has no idea what to do. It felt very rushed because I was like, wait, what? Because it's just watch it again and see the two hunters in the back. It's hilarious. So they say that you can do a dynamic push and pull. I think this is gonna be like Monster Hunter Stories, where like maybe you mash a button,
You know what came to my mind when you see this action? This was while I was listening to your video while I was working out, and the first thing that came to mind when you started talking about the push and pull thing was like, you know how when you're doing certain trials or raids in 14 and you get the dynamic action? That's exactly what I thought.
It's like that.
It's like when it's I forget what his name is, the deity in Stormblood. He brings down the sword, and it's like you run up and you parry the sword with the shield. That's kind of like the same vibe that I got. So I'm thinking like a button mashing moment when that happens. You go like to see if you're stronger or the monster is stronger. That's what I would expect anyway. Some type of button mashy moment, and they'll probably have accessibility options there. So like if you have or maybe you're just somebody that doesn't like that, you can just have so instead of you mashing it, just keep the button pressed. Most games do that nowadays to prevent people from getting their wrists messed up like mine, where I was like, if I have to mash too much, it's like, God, wrist is killing me.
So with the information that there's a wounding system, which again they have not talked about in English. I imagine Summer Game Fest they will. So we have incentive to create critical weak spots on a monster to exploit. Then I imagine the battles are going to be a paced between regular fighting, playing around with the environment around them, creating weak spots, and then entering this sort of like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, like where you're kind of like hitting the monster and you're waiting so that you can hit that weak spot for massive damage on the enemy crab.
The cool thing about this system and the advantage that it has, say, over Clutch Claw Tenderize, which was something that people got really sick of by the end of Iceborne, is that this is you're just hunting like normal. And then eventually you hunting like normal is going to give you these openings that you can go ahead and capitalize on using focus mode. That's the vibe that I get from it. Or you can use focus mode to parry the monster in specific situations, which I hope that we get to do some crazy heroic stuff with Gunland's shields, because I want to see more shield bashing, more that type of stuff, because I really like it.
Yeah, I don't know if mode is the right word that they should have been using, because that sounds so rigid, right? Like
focus mode.
You're either hunting in normal mode or focus mode. Where I think it's more like a focus state, right? That
I think
maybe there's a button or
a good thing that I brought up yesterday during the stream was I think that it's going to be kind of like Valor Stance. You just go into the stance and then you do the thing and then you're done.
Interesting. Yeah, I just don't know why. I guess what they were trying to say with the focus mode, with like it makes it easier to to deal with distance and stuff like that. I think maybe what they were just trying to say is like, look, it's a special thing that happens during hunts, and it's not hard to do. It's fun.
I think the
maybe
whole
that's
point,
what they were trying to say.
I think the whole point is going to be, while you're in focus mode, they're going to reduce the mobility of your hunter, and they're going to make it easier for you to target things. I think that's what's going to happen in focus mode. It's which is why you don't want to always be in focus mode, because if you're in focus mode, you can't move. I mean, you can move, but it's going to be slow and sluggish. And so it's like you go into focus mode to capitalize on something important. Or if you see a big wind-up attack, you go into focus mode to parry. And it might make it easier for you to parry attacks. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole question is like, is focus mode something that the game automatically throws you in once you create a weak spot on a monster, or is it something that you can manually go in and out of?
It needs to be manual. If they make it automatic, that is going to be one of the worst mistakes that they can possibly make.
It'll just be a quick time event, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want
the thing
that
concerns me, not concerns, concerns such a shit word. The thing that I'm curious about, we'll put it that way, is how does this work when you have 4 hunters? Because the focus mode in the trailer looks awesome as hell because you're facing the monster, right? It's hitting you, but if the monster's like coming off and smacking you, and I go into focus mode staring at its ass,
but like, that's the thing. You don't go.
I have nothing to react to.
You don't go into focus mode when it's staring. I mean, if you do that, it'll be a mistake. So it's like you can do it, but you don't want to do that. Think of it kind of like when Rajang is targeting someone. You can usually tell, okay, he's going to be on that person. He's going to be beating on them for a while until he eventually turns around and he faces another hunter, and you can tell now he's going to go on the other hunter. So those hunters are going to be the ones that are going to have to, okay, he's targeting me now. Now I go into focus mode, and now I do my thing. And the other ones only go into focus mode if there's something to exploit and not something to parry.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm looking at the website and the clips that they're showing, though, it does sort of make sense. Like on a shooting game, like when you hold down L2, like and focus in, and you have limited mobility, but then you can do stuff like aiming.
Monster Hunter's getting
parries
aim down
and guards. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be.
It's
in which
melee
case,
aim down sights.
Super. I mean, does that mean that we might have speedruns where someone just plays the entire thing in focus mode?
No, I don't think that
or is it you have to go and make weak spots, otherwise it's kind of pointless to be sitting there in a defensive
it's not even that
when there's nothing to exploit.
It's not even that, because like my theory is you're gonna have very limited mobility when you're in focus mode, and if you're looking at speedrunners, they're moving all over the place. Forget about being in focus mode. Because you can't move when you're in focus mode unless...
Yeah, and I guess that's probably why they made the weak spots or the critical weak spots a temporary thing, right? Like, you have a temporary opening where you can deal deep damage. And if it was all the time, then you would just, okay, let's do the 1v1 the entire time. It's like, no.
No, you need to focus on...
You would be more damage if you just fight the damn monster where...
Yeah.
Or if you try to go into, like, a focus, like, I guess we would call it like a aiming sight. What do you call it again?
Aim down sight.
Aim down sight. If you go into that, like in Rajang's about to do like a triple cannonball in your face, well, good luck with that.
You're aiming down sight so that you get a real good view as he's rolling right into your face.
Yeah, I imagine they could do something maybe like instead of, I mean, I would personally love to just hold down L2 like a shooter game to have that, because I think that'd be intuitive. But if they need that for attacks, then maybe something like pushing in L3 or R3 or something to go in and out of it, maybe. But just please leave my sticks alone. They drag, and I have to buy them over and over again. I don't want to do that again. Yeah.
I think the biggest...
The concept's cool, though.
I think the biggest thing about this is that this is going to be the one feature that either the community is going to absolutely love or they're going to absolutely hate. Because I've already seen...
this is a defining feature of the game.
I've already seen people going like, oh, they're making Monster Hunter casual, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if you think about that, right? They're making Monster Hunter casual. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is potentially the most complex Monster Hunter we had. I mean, you can compare it to Generations Ultimate, I guess. Yeah. But I feel like the
games are not mechanically simple.
Yeah, I think the movesets in Rise Sunbreak are still more complex than GU. Now, you may also argue, yeah, but you have the get out of jail free card that is Wirefall, and to that I say, yep, you're absolutely correct. I don't like that either. It's like I've said it multiple times. People sometimes would ask me, what is the one thing you would change in Sunbreak if you could? And I was like, I'd remove Wirefall. I would straight up just remove Wirefall. Force people to get used to, hey, you fell down. Guess what? Stay down. Don't move. Stay down for a little bit and then get up when the time is right. You should learn this. This is a skill that you need to learn in Monster Hunter. You need to learn how to stay down, not just like And they had a couple of monsters that punished, but who knows if some of the, more newbie hunters even make it all that far to the point where they're actually fighting a monster that punishes wire falling, right? So it's like they gave you a lot of tools in Rise and Sunbreak that allow you to deal with these situations with the whole wire fall thing and whatnot. But if you look on the flip side, you have switch scrolls that give you different switch skills that give you completely different move sets. Rise and Sunbreak is one of the most mechanically complex Monster Hunters that we've had. You may also argue, but I just play it like this, like I just play my bow gun and I just shoot the same ammo anyway. And it's okay, that's your choice. This doesn't change that this is still one of the most mechanically complex games. You're just playing it very monotone, and you're going to be able to do the same thing in this one. I don't think necessarily that focus mode is going to make the game easier. I think it's going to give us more options, because at the end of the day, what I always like about Monster Hunter games is that it's never really about, I'm just going to hit the monster on his tippy toes, like as with most other action games that feature big monsters, like, I'm just going to hit him on his tippy toes. And that's usually what happens. Either that, or I'm just going to get a God of War QT event. And Monster Hunter is really about, no, we want you to be in control. And if you look at Dragon's Dogma 2, it is the epitome of that. It is, we want you to be in control the whole time and doing crazy cool stuff. And this is not a cinematic. Like the whole situation that I usually like to bring up with the, my thief going in, jumping into the Cyclops' face, planting the bomb, jumping off, detonating. Cyclops is tripping, throw the rope thing, pull it down. He falls over, go over, do a critical attack. All of this is super cinematic, super engaging combat, and none of it is a QTE or boring. And that's what Capcom is doing. They want players to feel in control. So they're trying to make that easier to do, easier for you to feel that you're in control of the fight and to experience these awesome cinematic clashes without it being a QTE. I think that is where the word easy is coming in from, rather than just, we're going to make it easy for you to play the game. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, and I also think, depending on players, some people just suck at parrying and doing like that type of like lock in and react to a move.
You don't like guard points? Guard points are so good.
So I imagine that they're probably not going to make it that strict, because like some people are just not good at parrying, and it's just a difference, like they anticipate too early and they react too fast or something like that. So I don't imagine that I think this will be like, the hunt is you working to create a weak spot, and then if the monster happens to be facing you and they've got one, well, shit, go into this special stance and go kick its ass, You'll be able to down it, you'll be able to do some big damage, and all the hunters will benefit from it. I'm just curious how it looks like when you have all these hunters going like, flipping between like focus stance and normal stance, because they can't read the damn room and they don't know if the monster is like attacking them or somebody else. I think focus stance would have been a better way of putting it, to be honest, from what I'm reading and understanding. Mode is just
I think it's going to be the same thing as when there's three people trying to trap the monster, and then it turns out the monster's an elder dragon, and it's like, never mind.
But you know what this does open the door for, moments.
Though? What?
One of my favorite skills that almost no one puts on a set, and I know you like it as well, is the Partbreaker, and also stuff like Taunt, where it makes it easier for you to be targeted and hit.
I've always wanted,
because if you're,
I've always wanted something like that, but it never feels like that is something that Monster Hunter wants to do. We used to have that in the older games with the negative skill that did the opposite. So there was a skill that would get you to get targeted less, but then you would get the negative version of the skill. but that
Oh,
would
yeah, as a
imply
Lancer, it's
negative
great.
skills. But I don't think that's happening. I had a conversation with Jono recently, and obviously he can't reveal specifics, but it's like the whole point of it was the team is looking forward, which kind of just implies they're
Yeah.
not looking back to negative skills. They're not
Yeah.
looking back to, stuff that we've done before. It was also in the context of like the remasters and stuff. And it's like the team is looking forward.
They want
And I
to
was
do
like,
new
yeah,
stuff.
I
you know?
get-
And
I
we're all
get
like,
it.
you can do that. You could just outsource the remakes. Come on, do it.
Yes, for
we
ultimate,
just want something to play in the
for
meantime.
ultimate remake, it'd be perfect to spend time until
Yeah.
Wilds. Yes, that'd be so good. But, no,
But I mean,
doubt it.
you can disagree with me probably, but like for me, again, the trailer to me felt, and this could just I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like when I just watched it, there was so much, it didn't feel organized at all in how it was doing it, where normally the trailers are like really obvious about what they're showing you, and so you kind of get it. Like most of this stuff I didn't understand when I saw it. I had to go to a website to read it to understand what the hell I was looking at.
I understand.
To me,
what you're
that's
saying.
kind of a failure of a trailer, that they're showing you a lot of cool stuff, but you don't really understand what's going on. And because it's so cinematic and dynamic looking, it looks like everything is a QuickTime event. And that's not the case, right? But that's what it looks like, right? Because you see all these like cinematic cuts, things getting sucked into a waterfall. Now there's like these like, scripted events where you're doing attacks. It just, everything felt really scripted. I'm like, what is this? But I guess that's actually a point they can be proud of, right? The fact that they have all these things and it felt scripted, but it's probably not. It means that, yeah, it looks pretty badass, doesn't it? It's like,
I think it might have been rushed on PlayStation side.
that's what it feels like. Because when I said, like, look at the ending when the greatsword is pushing the guy against the mouth, like the hunters in the back are just kind of like,
you want to know where it becomes even more apparent that it was rushed? The fact that they thought that it was going to look good on their presentation to have Monster Hunter and then follow that up with Astrobot.
Hey, Astrobot looked freaking awesome. That game
listen,
was good. The first one?
No shade on Astrobot, but it ain't no Monster Hunter. So it's like, you always want to finish with your best thing, and I just kind of feel like you should have finished with Monster Hunter, but they wanted to finish on like a first-party title.
I'll disagree on that one. I thought both were hype.
Yeah. No, I think
really good.
Astrobot is hype. I liked Astrobot ever since I played the very first one, which was actually VR. I liked Astrobot. I think he's a cool mascot for PlayStation. But I feel like the organization,
weird.
yeah, it should have finished on a different game. I don't think it should have finished on Astrobot, but maybe I'm just weird, whatever.
No, it's possible because they did make like a transition. Like, okay, now we're going to talk about third-party games, and then they go in, they show Monster Hunter, and then they go to PlayStation again. It's like,
yeah, it's weird. It feels like they rushed something there, and so Capcom might have had to come up with a trailer like, okay, we gotta do something to put on this show, and so it might have been like a last-minute type of thing that they ended up doing, but
yeah. So
either way, I was still happy.
Don't
with
take it like I didn't like it. I'm happy. I think it's great.
I absolutely loved it. Like there was dude G1 Sun.
Your emotion board is so awesome.
The emotion board that guy did. I was like, I love that.
Oh my
That's
God.
so good. Because I'm not even thinking.
Sorry, yeah.
I'm not even thinking as that stuff is happening, right? And then I looked at it and I was like, wow, I did that. Because
yes, you have some golden expressions in there.
it just comes out naturally, right? Because I remember that the last one where I was even out of frame on the last one. It was because it was the one where he's just like the monster coming in and he puts the sword to block the mouth. And I was like, that's insane. That even gave me like Star Wars vibes when Luke puts the in Return of the Jedi and he puts the bone on the what's it called, the Rancor. He puts the bone on the Rancor's mouth and then the Rancor can't close his mouth. You don't care about Star Wars, do you?
I like it. I mean, I'll watch it, but I don't. I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. No, but like there's a scene like that in Return of the Jedi, and I was, oh man, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that. That was really cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what is the gun lance version of that, because one of the things that I want to do with a gun lance we create enough weak spots or whatever, I want to grab the gun lance and I want to shove it into the monster's mouth and I want to just unload all the shells all at once. And that needs to be my critical edge. It's like, that would be so good.
So you just want to thrust your stuff inside the mouth of the monster.
See,
and
there you go. Somebody already clipped me out of context on Twitter when I mentioned this. It makes sense. It's the softest
Your explicit
part.
Climax.
It makes sense because
It's the softest part. Come on, Ruri. You are digging a freaking hole. Oh my god. The mouth. It's the softest part. Of course I want to unload myself in there. Oh, Jesus.
Give me a shovel, Gaijin. I'm going to dig a hole. I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy hole.
Wow. Are you a long shot or a spread shot? Or a charge shot?
You know, it's funny. A while ago, I did a podcast.
Hey, I'm overheating. I just need to unload, okay? I don't care.
A while ago, I did
Go
a
find
podcast.
myself a Kestodon to unload on it.
I did a podcast with Tragic, who's the principal director of Remnant 2, and we were talking something about Monster Hunter, and he was like, you know, you have your ultra wide shelling, and I was like, what? Like the monitor is ultra wide shelling.
Damn, man.
I mean, it should be ultra wide. That would be amazing. No, but
I can't wait for the Summer Game Fest and them to really take some time to show it off. That's gonna be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder though if they're gonna do a thing where they're showing off. They said that they're gonna show off a new trailer, a new monster, which makes me think the flagship. They're gonna hint at and explain it a little bit better, which is good. But I'm kind of curious, are they gonna say, hey, we're gonna follow this up in a few weeks? We're gonna have a Wilds Direct where we'll really
I
give
hope
a deep
so.
dive.
I would love.
I would
to
imagine
see,
so, right?
I would love to see Capcom just have their own thing where they do like those developer directs that we used to have. Cause
Yeah.
those were amazing. They didn't do them quite as much for Rise and Sunbreak, and I want that interaction with the team again. It was really cool just seeing like, and the crazy things that they would do, like Ryozu and the rest of the team in the sauna and whatnot. You know, they would show up in there, and it was like they were in the Celiana gathering hub, and like that was cool. I want to see more of those crazy moments with the team because that's really cool.
Yeah, I hope they ditch this like really like suit and tie, like let's show all the camera angles are like really funky, like they're showing them looking off camera to somewhere else and talking like it's like some warehouse like employee training video, and I just like, don't, man, you guys are fun people, just
communities no longer react well to the overproduced stuff. I've noticed that, especially since the Dragonflight presentation in World of Warcraft, where you know the team for Blizzard really needed to come out and showcase something really cool for the game to get people hyped up, and they just had this completely overproduced presentation that didn't resonate with a single person. There wasn't a single person that watched that and went like, damn, I'm hyped for it. Was more like people were watching and it's, what are you doing? Why do you need like friggin' cameras on a dolly, like doing friggin' the whole arc shot and whatnot, and then zoom in and then zoom out, and there's like 3, 4, 5 different camera angles for like this 3-minute conversation that's scripted to high heavens. It's like, you don't need any of that. Just be yourselves. I think that's what people want. People want authenticity.
Look at Yoshi P, right, in FF14.
Exactly.
The way that they do their stuff is like they're sitting there in rabbit costumes. He's sitting there going, hang on, I'm reading the chat. Oh, and he'll mention out like, oh, they're roasting me over this shit. And like they're just casually having a good time talking about stuff. They're okay to go over schedule. They say, oh, we scheduled this for 20 minutes, but it's like 30, so I guess I should shut up.
Yeah, but that's
it's like, because that's the point of having your own event, is that you don't have to worry about that shit.
That's the one thing that I will say. Let's try to keep it less time than the producer live letters, because those are maybe.
Those are too long. Yeah.
I love them, but 6 hours is a bit much.
Yeah, it's like I gotta make dinner, like.
But even in that, just have them be in there and hanging out and talking about stuff. It doesn't have to be giga scripted. I don't think that audiences give as much importance to that stuff anymore. And the professional camera angles and all of that stuff, you don't need to overproduce. If anything, I actually think that ends up being looking.
It works
worse
against you. Yeah,
it works against you in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking very much forward to seeing what the Summer Games Fest is going to be like, because usually when they have devs there, it's usually for big games like Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, hey, did you see how much they said that they sold 2 million copies of World Iceborne in the last year alone, even though it's been out for years. 2 million.
Yeah, that
God damn, well deserved. But I'm like, holy shit.
The Return to World campaign on PC was friggin' giga popular. 160,000 concurrents, or however much it was insane.
That game aged well.
Insane. Oh yeah, very much.
Yeah,
so.
People still think that I didn't like it or something, but like I've gone on record to say I still think Iceborne is what I would consider my favorite, like the best made Monster Hunter game. If we're counting in nostalgia, then yeah, Monster Hunter Ultimate has a special.
I prefer Base World. I prefer Base World over Iceborne.
It's the same game.
No. Iceborne has Clutch
on.
Claw. It has
wait a second.
moves.
Wait, you would consider Iceborne different than World?
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't just call it like World Iceborne like I do?
No. There's Base World, and then there's Iceborne. These are two very different games. And I love them both. But I like Base World much more than I do Iceborne, but that's because some of them, for starters, there's the Clutch Claw thing, tenderizing, and all of these other things that gets introduced with Ice. So to give an idea, when I did Return to World in my channel, I turned off the Iceborne DLC so that I could play World without any of the Iceborne features.
Because it wasn't balanced around it, so you just sort of wreck house when you go into the base world with Clutch Claw.
Straight up. You go in there with Clutch Claw, you're gonna wreck face. So I turned it off, and so I didn't have the new moves. I didn't have any of that stuff. It was just standard World. Except it also showed there was a problem in which they have the claggers on there, and I find it funny. That a lot of people don't know what the clagger is.
What does clagger mean?
Are you kidding me? It's the special stagger that they have.
Is that the sound that you make when you put your boots together or something? A clagger?
No.
I don't know.
The clagger
what is that
is
word?
the special stagger that the monsters get. That was the stagger that they made specifically for the Clutch Claw. It's the Clutch Claw opening stagger. When the monster just
call it a clagger?
Yeah, we call it a clagger. Is that
the community term for it?
Yeah, they call it a clagger. Because that there's the regular stagger that you get, and then there's the new stagger that was introduced specifically to take advantage of the Clutch Claw, which is slightly different. I always
called it like there's the flinch and then there's the stagger. I always thought the flinches is when you hit a weak spot or you break apart, and then actual stagger where they're like, that's the Clutch Claw. But clagger, okay, I did not know that term.
Clagger, because it's the Clutch Claw, and it's like that is one of the things that I noticed, because you're pushing your advantage a lot with all the moves that you have in Base World, and then you get a clagger, and the monster backs off. Because it's intended that he backs off so that you use the Clutch Claw to clutch on, and you're just like, no, now you're too far away, and I don't have a Clutch Claw.
What you need to do is go into focus mode so that you can.
And regular staggers don't move the monster so far away from you. That's the difference. But I found it funny that
for Gunlance users, shit. Oh my god.
So many people were not aware of what a clagger was. They're like, monsters have always staggered. And it's like, yes, not like this though. Not like this.
Not like this.
But it was interesting. It was really fun. But yeah, I prefer Base World. But still, Iceborne is awesome, and I'm super happy that it's sold.
I mean, I love all the games, yeah. But like, for people who think that I don't care about, the environment and the richness of it, I do. I think this game is going to be the best. It has all the potential in the world. They've got the best director, Tokuda-san nailed it with World, and that's your favorite base game, and he was the director for that.
Oh yeah.
I've always been a fan of his work. They've obviously taken the time and the budget to make whatever they want to make, so I'm hyped. And all these references to Monster Hunter 4, like, Jesus.
Dude, yeah, that
I remember
hypes
when
me
we
up so
first
much.
saw just seeing the golden grass of that opening area, and it's just the same as the ancestral step. I'm like, oh my God, they're pulling at my heart. Oh, all they need to do now is, I want to see Kechawacha back. I really do.
Kechawacha would be a good one. It would be a good one to bring back.
Justice for Kechawacha. Get him back in there.
Good old Kechawacha.
Think about it, like, he's the perfect monster for introducing a critical weak point, because he covered, because they like cover up their weak spot, and then at very key moments you can expose or hurt them. Yeah. Like, that could be like your chance to go into focus mode and try to parry something. Dude,
imagine a portion of the map where you can actually have the upside down Ursula moments. Oh my God, dude. Just thinking about it.
I want Manajarala. Yeah. I want some Dalamadurs. I want new stuff.
Most important,
snakes.
We need to have a hunt on that sandboat. It needs to. I hope it's a new monster. Yeah. If it's not a new monster, it needs to be the Ran Moran, Jen Moran. Do something, Capcom, please. We need one of those hunts. I hope they do. I definitely hope they do. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Do you have anything else on your notes?
No, I'm just like super hyped for the Summer Game Fest. However, what I'm not hyped about is the freaking time. It's going to be 6 in the morning here.
It's going to be 11 p.m. for me. You know what time it is right now for me, Gaijin?
Yeah, it's late for you. I know you're taking a hit to do this.
It's 3 in the
late
morning.
For you.
It's 3.
Oh God,
I'm so dead. I've been struggling just to keep speaking. God damn. No, but I would also like to apologize, guys. Like, for those of you watching the podcast, if at some moments it might seem like I'm a little bit out of it or something, it's because I'm just really, really tired.
Yeah, but you're really fun when you're tired.
Yeah, I get kind of like tired drunk.
Slap happy.
Almost. Yeah, something like that.
It's
Slap.
Nice.
Yeah, that. I get that. I know I do. But yeah, we're gonna be calling it here because there's not a whole lot more to say, and we're gonna be getting together again after the Summer Game Fest, so that we can give a full opinions on the new things that they're going to be talking about there. But for now, if you guys enjoyed the Third Fleet podcast, hit
that like
button, subscribe,
follow or whatever on podcast,
bell notification, and make sure to check to see if you're still subscribed to Gaijin, because YouTube unsubscribes people automatically sometimes, because obviously Gaijin's been posting some content as well. So yeah, be sure to check that stuff out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe,
and happy hunting.